So this guy beats a game one night, then wakes up inside it, as the villain. Not just any villain, the Mastermind, the one who kills the saint and ends the world. His plan to dodge that fate? A demon sword he summons out of a bracelet. A kid in a no-name village, quietly grinding a skill that does not even exist in the game. His house on paper? Heirs to a dirt-poor knight family. So how does a farm kid solo a D-rank monster 5 trained knights cannot touch? Funny story. It starts with his father coming home half dead. He is 7, lying about his real age, hiding everything from the parents he is terrified to lose. Because he knows the script. The village burns, the family dies, the saint arrives too late. So he rewrites it. 1 kill, 1 rescue, 1 favor at a time. He saves the dying girl who was meant to trigger the final boss. He hands the princess he is fated to murder a birthday gift instead of a blade. He drags a framed lord out of a plot that should have burned a whole house down. Every move bends the story further off its rails and pulls more eyes onto him. Now a cult that wants the Demon King back is hunting the very people he saved. And it all traces back to one quiet night, a finished game, and a prompt he never should have clicked. Over an old armored knight, a voice gushes about a world of swords and magic. The voice belongs to a 4th-year university student. In this life, Sheena Ren. Then he throws his arms up. He's finally beaten it. A clear screen glows, maybe even a world record time, after sinking the whole weekend into the new release instead of job hunting. It's Legend of the 7 Heroes 2, descendants of the Demon King Slayers now fighting a cult out to revive it. But this one turns dark. The hero's best friend kills a saint, the Emperor orders him put down, and Part 3 holds the rest. Controller down, he scrolls fan posts, all agreeing the friend is the Part 3 boss, the Mastermind reviving the Demon King. A new prompt. Start the special story with the Demon Sword summoning skill. Yes or no? He picks yes, then frowns. Demon Sword summoning? Was there ever a character who used that? Right then, his strength drains away and he slumps over. No idea why. A noblewoman hopes he grows up well, while an old maid swears the young master's bursting with energy. Tiny hands lower a baby into a wooden bath. Can't move. Can't focus his eyes. The infant wonders if this is real or a dream. Then the same game prompt floats up. Demon Sword summoning. Yes or no? And his only thought is, no way. Is this one of those classic fantasy setups? A special story here shouldn't even be possible. Hands clutched to his head, the baby finally asks it. Did he get reborn here? The old maid asks her lady what to call the young master. Cradling him close, his mother says she's already picked it. Len Ashton. What a joke, he thinks. That name belongs to the story's dark villain, the betrayer mastermind behind all the chaos. Then he stands alone on a burning battlefield, knights and a demon closing in. So why does it have to be him? A blade, a training clearing, and a spiky-haired kid charging in. Then a boot catches him midair and sends him flying. He hits the dirt, and the swordsman warns him. Jump in blind like that and you're wide open. Crouching, the man calls it for the day and checks on him. The kid just gasps thanks. Turns out it's his father, who grins that he moves nothing like a 7-year-old. Spring, and a butterfly drifts past. He's been in this body over 7 years now, and time flew. This is the Leomel Empire, a military nation on the Elf continent, one of its no-name villages. Staring at his small hand, he admits he refused to accept it at first. Then his mother leans in. Did he wait up for her? Time to eat. Half a year trapped in an infant's body, though, and anyone would crack. Rocked in his crib as she hums him down, he's hidden the truth from them all along. He thrusts out a hand, the bracelet glowing, and calls something up. A status screen surfaces. He's the Ashton heir, with a skill that summons a demon sword. But every stat reads as question marks. Unlike the game he remembers, feels more real that way. Finger to his lip, he admits he's never heard of a skill called demon sword summoning. Then game logic kicks in. Fuse 3 skills into one. Swordsman plus mage makes a magic swordsman, and there are hidden skills to grind too. Beyond those sit unique skills only certain people can wield, and his is clearly one. A scrawny blade flickers into his hand. For now, all he can summon is the Demon Sword of Wood. It attacks by growing plants, and proficiency climbs the more he summons it, so best not test it indoors. Next comes the Demon Sword of Metal at level 2, and special conditions unlock more blade types. But every summon burns magic power. Run dry and it's a splitting headache, or worse, blackout. So he resolves to train it daily and slowly grow his reserves. A voice booms down. Is Len up yet? He dispels the sword fast, wishing the game's grind were this easy, which means there's a future he must avoid at all costs. This power proves the world is the game, all to protect himself if the worst ever comes. His mother teaches him letters. He buries into books on this world, then summons the wooden blade to train. 7 now, he gets a warm welcome home, and his father says it's time to learn the sword. Grab a practice blade. He hefts a wooden sword, says it's how his own dad taught him, and dares the boy to come at him full force. Squaring up, the boy grips not a dummy, but his own demon sword of wood. He lunges in, snatching up a blade. The man grins, praises the move, says go till his body gives out. Startled, the kid blurts a yes and pushes himself again. First session he spent inside 30 minutes. But this 7-year-old body packs surprising strength. Flat on the ground, he asks the man to head home first and thanks him. Not bad for a beginner, the man says, and walks off. He'll come back for him later. Then he summons in secret, and his proficiency ticks up for using the wooden sword. Ever since, his routine locked in. Study each morning, sword with his father each afternoon. Raising demon sword proficiency also needs demon stones, pulled from a monster's body. The one Dad gave him stays dead. It only counts if he made the kill himself. This world isn't the easy Legend of the Seven Heroes he knew, so he takes it dead seriously. His father works the field behind the oxen while his mother feeds the goat. Another month passes. Warm days with family, the wooden blade still cutting the air. The boy swings again and again, drilling against his father out in the meadow. He drops, spent, and the man lowers his blade. The kid's better than he used to be. Mid-spar, the boy stumbles off balance, and the correction comes. Too easy to topple. Put your strength in the waist. Then he plants his feet and slams the bigger man flat into the dirt. Still down, he begs to keep going, but his father leans on his sword. That's enough. You okay? Great work pushing his limit every day, the man says. But don't overdo it, Len, or you'll get hurt. As the man heads off to rest before dinner, the boy gasps a thank you and doubles over for air. A status window glows. Demon Sword Summoning, Level 1, Technique at 88 of 100. Catching his breath, he eyes the bracer. A few more days and he can finally level up. Sprawled in the grass, he figures calling it leveling up stings less. Gamer habit, but 2 points a day is brutal. Over a pot on the hearth, a quiet thought. Lately, things are getting interesting. A hand turns his palm over, fretting that such nice hands keep blistering. In the kitchen, his mother takes his hand, worried the training's too harsh. He waves it off. He loves the sword. His love of swords is wonderful, she says, and she knows the Ashtons are knights sworn to guard the village. Salving his palm, she admits it isn't hate she feels, but fear, and he looks up startled. She remembers a fearless swordsman from her childhood who saved her from monsters again and again, while he just blinks, lost. But what if that bravery turns into a curse, she says, the thing that gets him badly hurt one day? It terrifies her. His father hauls a kill into the village, shares the meat for good coin, while his mother says she deeply respects him. The boy murmurs the word father as Milieu frets. The swordsman just ruffles his hair. Don't worry, he's strong. He's more careful than he used to be, he adds, and no mere monster is taking him down. Milieu tries again, softly, but he takes her hand. Their happiness means more to him than anything. That night, he lies awake under the stars, turning one word over. Family, huh? In his old life, his parents split when he was small, and he stayed with his mom. Year by year, the two of them talked less and less across that kitchen table. By the time he'd grown, her seat sat empty most nights. Then she stopped coming home at all. Maybe she had her reasons, he figures, and either way, he's grateful she put him through college. Back here, he tears across a field after his father, a small beast bolting ahead. At the end of the run, he doubles over for air. The swordsman calls it. The boy gasps a yes and drops flat in the grass. Every day here leaves him feeling more whole than the life he left behind. Sword drills, his father barking 10 more swings, family meals, a book by lamplight, full days. No, he gasps. He can still go, then folds face first, and the man finally calls it. Enough. You okay? Eyes sharp, he hunches low over the wooden sword. His father lowers his blade. What's wrong? Did he hurt himself? Then he drops back into stance. Something clicks. His body feels lighter. Nothing, he says. Low and fast, he comes charging in. The old man barely registers it before the boy is on him. Up close, his father can only freeze, stunned. The wooden sword snaps up to block, and he marvels at the kid's speed. No rest. Charge again, the old man barks, grinning at the raw power, and the boy resets. He lunges once more. The blade comes down, and the parry catches it. They trade blows, and he feels his speed and strength climbing with every swing. His father throws up a hand, rattled, no idea what's happening. Then the boy leaps high, sword raised, and the block goes up overhead. Eyes wide, the swordsman starts to piece it together. Could it be Len? The two square off, profiles locked, each reading the other. Then the old man drops his guard and sweeps the boy up into his arms, startling him. He swings the boy up, thrilled. Great job! Who knew the kid had a skill? A confused, huh? Then Dad calls for Milieu, and she hurries in. What's wrong? Holding him up, the father figures his skill must have leveled from all that training. And it has, just as he expected. Level 2, unlocking physical ability up, small. Picturing a grand capital knight, Dad insists their son shouldn't stay stuck in this village. Reading a skill at the town church costs money they don't have, and Mom just wonders what it even is. The kid waves it off. No real need to get it checked. A boy so uninterested in his own gift throws Dad off. Is he even serious? He plays dumb on purpose. Nobody's heard of a rare skill like demon sword summoning, and flaunting it only brings trouble. Both parents fall dead silent, eyeing him. He lays out his real plan. Hunt monsters together, raise their income, live peacefully, right here. Picturing himself clearing boars as the village thrives, he'd rather inherit this place than chase knighthood. Blade among the beasts, he adds. If the worst comes, he can protect his old man. His mother stares, caught completely off guard. Cradled between them as a baby, he reflects. These 7 years made him happier than his whole old life. Against his old city skyline, the man he was is gone for good, and he owes it all to these two. A new person has been born, this time as Len. All he ever wanted was simple, the three of them living a long life together. Then his dad scoops him up, calling him a brat, as the boy quietly steals his resolve. This is basically his second playthrough, and this time he means to cherish his family. To stop that future of despair, he swears this life won't go the way Len's did in the game. Trouble is, those quiet dreams are doomed to fall apart in just a few years. In a few years, he'll meet the girl he was never meant to meet, the one he's fated to kill. Riding alone against a shifting future and a destiny stacked against him, he means to fight it. But right now, sprawled in the grass with his parents, he has no idea any of it's coming. Far north in the Leomil Empire sprawls the fortress city Clausel. In its rose garden, a blonde girl sits alone, sighing. Who is this lovely child? Just bored now that training's done, she says, as an old armored knight steps up. Behind her, 2 of his men lie groaning, spar partners no more. She asks if something's wrong in the territory, eyeing his armor, and names him Vios. The master sent him north to patrol. She notes that's no small task for his rank, a beast to slay, and from the dark, a fanged maw answers. Far away, a boy breathes out, his bracelet catching light. Pail in hand, the dark-haired kid crosses the fields. 3 years now since his first level up. His status confirms it. Lynn Ashton, Demon Sword Summoning, already level 2, and level 3 summons 2 blades. 659 of 1500. The grind's gone stale. Not that he trained every day. Fields and winter prep ate plenty. He clashes blades with his father, but short sessions barely help. Plenty of power for quiet village life. He waves to Grandma Rig, who chirps the young masters up early. She praises him. Grinning, Lynn waves it off. Flattered, but he isn't leaving this place. Over a far hill, mounted knights ride into view. A confused, huh? Then the old man pales. The Baron's people. Everyone hurry home. Their big knight steps up and apologizes for the intrusion. Why come here? Roy asks nervously, while the protagonist sits with a basket, watching. Turns out Dad's one of the Baron's guard knights. Every knight answers to a higher noble. Feudalism. Heavy beast damage around here? First knight's the kid's seen. Witnesses describe a critter-type beast fast as the wind. Village is already hit with casualties. They want his father on patrol to bring it down. When Dad asks the beast's rank, Len tenses up. A neutral global guild ranks beasts by threat, weakest to highest. This one's D rank, like an early game boss, and 5 knights together still can't down it. Beasts here top out at F rank, so why now? Still looking into it, the bearded knight says. The plan is to recruit fighters and tighten security. A map runs to the village, and a shocked face does the math. 20 days off. Roy nods. They'll patrol harder. The officer begs them to hold on while Milieu listens, uneasy. The knight offers a rest. The boy quietly bets his game knowledge will name the beast. Is that kid Sir Roy's son? The knight gladly accepts. Highest ranked knight in the territory, the protagonist thinks. Then Dad says, greet the captain. The captain? Knights and horses wait in the meadow. His mother waters one. A basket of bread held out. The captain takes a cup with a grin, and Roy leans in. Banners crest the hill. The family waves them off. Quiet returns. Riding out, they note the boy's 10, and the captain admits he'd have tested his sword. Busier from now on, Roy stretches. The boy asks to see the wanted notice. No need to worry. Dad once hunted a D-rank beast solo, and the captain rides on. Stronger than 5 skillless knights. No wonder he never won, the protagonist marvels. By himself? For now he hunts more prey. Slain wolf beasts pile up. Some beasts only came to feast on these little boars, whose meat, Dad notes, is delicious. Crouched and uneasy, the boy works it out. Thin the boars, and the beast stays away. Leaning on his sword, the man confirms it. Only droppings and tracks left, and he's impressed. Yes, Len agrees, as the man heads into the trees. Out in the forest, a snarling boar squares off against his father, who normally hunts mornings. Now he pushes in by afternoon and hunts to sunset. Soaking in the bath later, Dad wonders if he's overworking. The boy says he'll come help soon. Once it calms down, the man promises, but they're swamped processing boars before the meat spoils. He's sorry he can't train with his son anymore. Thanks for helping your mother, Dad says easily, but the kid stares at the water. Nothing's going to happen, I hope. Sunk in the warm bath, he won't lose this peace that's held over 10 years. Don't doze off in the tub, his father warns, and the days roll on. Until the 10th night, the moon over a sleeping valley. Hauling in firewood, the boy frets that Dad still isn't back. He says he's coming too. Too dark, she'll go herself, but he insists. Too risky alone. Sometimes she's afraid, she admits, picturing the day he ends up hurt. The boy just looks back. Out with torches now. His first time outside after dark, he can barely see a thing. 2 distant lights, she points. Bridge torches marking the forest's edge. A rope bridge spans a river gorge. Mind the water below. Beyond the bridge lie the beasts. This is as far as they go. Then he spots a figure slumped against a tree across the bridge. Recognizing the shape, she cries out for her husband, fallen under that tree. It's the father, propped on the trunk, head low. She's just glad he's okay, but why is he down here like this? Without waiting, she bolts onto the bridge, telling Len to stay put. Torch lifted, she reaches him and asks if he's hurt. The man only stares back, dazed. Slumped down, he clutches his side, head bowed, silent. The swordsman is in real trouble now, and the boy screams for his father. Len screams for his father down the dark riverbank while Milieu begs him to hold it together. Torch in hand, he bolts to where Roy slumps wounded under the tree, his mother beside him. Then, a massive boar beast rears up, jaws gaping, tusks bared, the D-rank thing that gutted his father. The kid recoils as it charges, and Roy roars his name in warning. Wounded as he is, the father throws himself in front of them to hold the beast back. The boar pins him flat. He grabs its snout to keep those jaws off his throat. Milieu rushes in screaming at it. Pinned underneath, her husband yells at her to run. Then more come, a pack stampeding from the grass. The father spots them too late. His wife sees two more closing in. It clicks. Physical ability up. Small, and the boy heaves the monster off him. But a beast lunges, the swarm hits, and one slams into Milieu as she screams. Teeth clenched, he strains against the rush, his fear turning to something colder. Right then, a boar clamps down on his mother. One blow drops her, and as the huge beast looms, his bracelet starts to glow. Sword swinging up, he meets the thing leaping straight at him. His eyes go wide. The boar monster crashes past, then wheels around snarling. Winded, blade in hand, he tells himself the training made him strong enough to fight. Earlier that day, back at the house by the river, Granny Rig tends the bedridden Roy. His condition's unstable, but settled. They can rest now. Tears welling, Milieu thanks her, beyond relieved. No weak monster could have beaten Dad like this, the boy thinks. His mother admits she couldn't have carried him home alone. Bandaged and unconscious, the swordsman lies still as Len pieces it together. Dad must have run into that wanted monster. It could still be inside the forest, reinforcements 10 days out. And if that thing comes for the village, where terrified folk are huddled, would his mother and the rest get hit too? Milieu's shaken face flashes through his mind. There has to be something he can do now, so he bolts across the rope bridge. Deep in the woods, he finds yesterday's little boar, not yet eaten. Better haul it off before it lures the monster. Something dark drifts off the carcass. His bracelet flares, and the boy blinks. Don't tell me. It gets absorbed straight in. Technique at level 2. 671 of 1500. 2 demon swords logged. Just as he figured, summoning and the demon sword of wood both jumped by 2. That gain came from the demon stone inside the monster. Standing in the dark house, he recalls the bracelet never absorbed a kill that wasn't his own. Milieu freezes mid-word as her son announces that tomorrow everything changes. He knows full well it's dangerous. Born in Ashton like his father, he means to take over the man's duty and protect this village. She fires back that he's still a child, no matter how strong. With Dad injured, he's the only one left in the village who can fight monsters. He admits he's asking the impossible, then asks her, dead serious, to let him protect everyone until reinforcements arrive. She says nothing, eyes wet, torn between fear and pride. That night, Milieu won't leave her husband's bedside. By morning, a bird sits on the fence. At the gate, she hands him a pack and relents. The forest's fine, as long as he's back before dusk. One last warning. Stay out of the deep woods, and if he's lost, use Tsurugi Rock as his landmark. He's never even tested the wooden blade's natural magic. An hour and a half in stands the huge, sword-shaped spire they call Tsurugi. Back in the game, one strong boss wielded that same magic. Then, a monstrous boar bursts from the brush, and the kid flinches. It drops dead at his feet. Just another little boar, though it scared him stiff. Blade leveled, he calls out for tree sprout and ivy. No clue how the magic works. Vines erupt and snare the carcass, ivy coiling tight. His eyes go wide, and he breathes that it's awesome. Caught in the tangle, the boar snorts and thrashes, still alive. Burns mana, but easy to use, he notes. One strike would end it, only he can't bring himself to. Sword ready to practice, he turns as 2 more boars charge in. Across the valley, 2 villagers gape at his ivy-bound haul. He drags the massive netted bundle into the village. 12 boars on his first day. Back among the trees, vines lash another boar, and the boy presses deeper. Next day, he comes home dragging an even bigger haul. 12 more down. By the 3rd day, a whole netted heap trails behind him. Day 4, day 5, and the kill count keeps climbing. No sign of that wanted monster, and his wooden blade's proficiency creeps to 97. Eyeing the bracelet, he grins. The demon sword of metal is almost his. Home at last, he calls out that he's back. At the door, Granny Rig tells him to wait outside. His father's condition isn't good. He pushes past, demanding to know what happened, and his mother just calls his name, stricken. Roy lies bandaged and fevered. They burned through their herbs, yet he's barely holding on. Wide-eyed, the boy asks why. In tears, Milieu says she doesn't know. The old healer holds up a single herb. Their stocks are nearly gone. It'll all be used up by tonight, his mother murmurs, head bowed. Granny Rig urges her to fetch the formula box from her house. Her husband knows it. Milieu steadies herself and agrees to go. Len says he understands. Then he rounds on the healer. Do the herbs grow near here? Is there anything he can do? Propped up, Roy explains the herb died out in a harsh winter decades ago. It only ever grew at the foot of Tsurugi Rock. The boy eyes a plant on the table and goes cold. Is this it? Granny Rig cuts him off and tells him to wait outside. Silent, he stares a moment, then walks out into the corridor as the door shuts. He knows it instantly. Rondo grass. A healing item he leaned on constantly in the game. At night, the forest gets far deadlier, but he won't believe it's gone until he sees for himself. Then, he's already running, jaw set. Even so, if he doesn't do something now, without the cure, his bandaged father will die for certain. Pack on his back, the boy tears toward the spire. No time to hesitate. A monster's eyes glint in the trees, but he crashes through anyway. Like hell, he'll let it happen. He skids to a stop at the foot of the towering rock, tiny against it. Gasping, the kid stares up and takes in the bare ground around the base. Nothing at the foot of the rock, just as he feared. What about the peak? His bracelet flares, vines bursting from the stone as he summons the blade to climb. Clinging to the rock face under a thin moon, he spots something above. Wading into a field of tall grass, the kid stops cold. Lit up against the cliffs, it's the rondo grass, the herb he thought long extinct. Eyes locked on it, he figures this much could save his father, and reaches in to gather it. But scattered through the flowers are little bones, and trinkets too, way up where nothing should be. Roping his way down the steep face, he mutters he's got a bad feeling. Then he bolts down the slope, racing flat out for home. Skidding to a halt, the boy nearly runs straight into a pack of tusked boars. Little boars, he realizes, drawing his demon sword as the herd surges. Strangely, they tear right past him, squealing. Not attacking, fleeing something. Out of the dark, a massive fanged maw looms, and his eyes go wide. So the wanted monster was you, he says, finally piecing it together. Whip-like tendrils sprawl beneath the moon as the thing uncoils. A huge, shaggy wolf hunches over the rocks, fangs bared. Unique monster, D rank, the chief wolven. Up on the rock, the beast throws back its head and howls. Boars stampede past in terror while the protagonist watches them flee. Then the chief wolven lunges, jaws wide. He springs clear over its back. He lands hard, clocking it's faster than him as a lash whips past. Sword out, he sizes it up. Those whiptails mean no ordinary beast. The thing rips the air with a slashing gust and blasts him back. Wind magic. That blast slams him flat into the dirt. He runs the profile. It strikes with wind, weaving invisible hands to snatch things. Pinned down, he figures this fight isn't his. Maybe better to run, but failing means dying. The wooden blade forms, and his only shot is its belly. The beast pauses, and his eyes lock on a wound torn into its leg. Blade raised, he realizes his father dealt that. That gash kept it off the village and let Roy escape, and his face hardens. His father did his duty as a knight, he thinks, staring at the bandaged face. Across the grass, the white beast waits. He can't back down either. It snarls, snaps the air. Don't give up here, he tells himself. Then the wolf lunges, whiptails flaring. Through the bone-littered lair, he forces calm. Find an opening for natural magic. A blow sends him tumbling, and the thing rounds on him with a roar. He throws out the vines, desperate to pin it for a second. Roots erupt and snare its legs as he leaps overhead, sword high. But the beast tears loose and slams him down. His eyes go wide as the wooden blade bites into its hide. The hit blasts him backward through the air. Then the sword shatters. Panic hits, the counter already coming. He tries resummoning the blade, but it drains too much mana, and he reels. Sword up, he braces as leaves scatter around him. He jerks back as jaws snap where his head just was. Knocked flat, he scrambles up. This is the thing that gutted his father. His blade throws vines to pin it to a tree, but it rips clean free. Then he eyes the rondo grass in his hand, figuring he'll black out soon. A flash of his fevered father steadies the protagonist. Pass out here, and there might not be enough herb left for the old man. Forcing himself to think, he remembers his last weapon, the bracelet, this skill. The beast roars and charges again through the brush. He dives clear, plants his feet, and turns to face it. Just hold still a second, then the vines erupt and clamp its jaws. The vines haul it toward the boar corpses as he bolts off, nearly dry. Sprinting to the bodies, he absorbs their demon stones. 3 more to go. His status flashes. Wood proficiency at 97, demon sword of metal nearly unlocked. So he bets everything on it. If the wooden blade can't kill it, the new one might. Vines and ivy coil down the wooden sword as he readies it. Then the plants whip out, lash the beast, and drag it down. A flash of his dying father. He has to win. But the jaws bite through the vines. Lunging free, the monster comes at him. No way he's losing here. Right then, the demon sword of metal unlocks at level 1, sharper as it climbs as the fangs close in. Out comes the new blade, his very last card. With both hands, he drives it straight down the beast's open throat. One wholehearted strike, the tiny boy buried under the towering wolf. The metal blade sinks to the hilt. The beast's eye goes dim. Then the Chief Wolven crashes down, the boy pinned under all that fur. He can't believe it landed, and the bracelet drinks its demon stone of metal. His arm drops, the sword fades, his body won't move. Mother, father, he thinks as he blacks out. A beast's cry pulls riders over a ridge. A knight points. They find him sprawled on the carcass, barely breathing. The whole patrol rings the dead monster, banners up. The hunt is over. Riders take the long road home, and a fist hammers a door. Milieu freezes as armored men crowd in, knights from Clausel. The child needs his room. She begs to know what happened. The captain steps up, cradling a filthy, limp Lin, and her voice breaks. He was clutching this for dear life, one says, holding out a satchel. She opens it. Rondo grass. She takes the unconscious boy's face in her hands and sobs his name. Outside, the Ashton house sits quiet under a bright sky. Far off in a castle city, word arrives. That Ashton boy did something. A grizzled lord can't believe it. He downed the Chief Wolven alone? A blonde lady and a girl catch the name. 2 months on, the girl marvels that a kid who solo killed a D rank lives in this very land. Back to Lin. His status screen glows, and a brand new blade unlocks. The demon sword of Bandit. Sprawled in the grass, he grins. The kill earned a new sword, more finger armor than blade. Bag of grass in hand, he rappels down the cliff on a vine. A hooded escort scolds him. Still not recovered, and weren't they coming along? He just mutters a sorry. Riding behind the knight, he thanks them. They reached him fast, and his strength floored them. A glittering trinket comes out of the bag. Loot from the lair, he says, to sell for the village. The escort, smiling now, says the materials are rare medicine. This year's reward is full tax exemption. That's amazing, he beams. The village could prosper for decades. Propped up in bed, Roy has heard all about the treasures and tells him he's done so much. Granny Rig chuckles that he's selfless as ever and asks what he wants. He won only thanks to his father. Among the drops, he eyes a glowing stone, a Salacia pearl, absurdly rare. He asks to keep it. He pushes for the ornate bracelet too, to hide his summoning band. At home, a hand ruffles his hair. So reckless. His father praises him anyway. Risking his life to guard everyone took guts, while his mother beams. Below the mountain, the nameless village settles. After so long, peace. Crate in his arms, goat at his heels, dad mending the fence, mom hanging laundry. A long-haired girl sits alone on a stone wall. He clocks her and frowns. No kid from this village. Smiling, she asks if he's Lin Ashton. Crate clutched tight, he admits he is, but she looks strangely familiar. And so it lands. The fateful meeting, her smile, one step through the grass. Across the wall they face each other. The gears of fate begin to move. Like a fated encounter, a long-haired noble girl walks up and asks if he's Lin Ashton. She sighs in relief, then smiles that she's always wanted to meet him. Then she draws a pair of swords and settles into stance. She asks how his injuries are. He just blinks, a blade planted in the grass beside him. Lifting it, she says they've healed, but how does she even know him? Pardon, he stammers, and the girl only smiles. In that case, let's begin. Without warning, she lunges. Barely in time, he catches her blade on his. She presses harder, steel flashing, while the knights shout for them to wait. Grinning, she praises how well he handles a sword. Pretty skilled, he admits mid-clash, then demands why they're doing this at all. He decides the why isn't the issue, and snaps that the blade's dulled. Relax, she tells him. Can't be helped, she shrugs, then comes in beaming. This is going to be trouble. A boot tears through the grass as she vows to force an end to it. The blades clash, a startled cry, her gloved hand locked on the hilt. Then he pins her flat, blade beside them, and calls it. He wins. Hand at her collar, he freezes, and she just stares back. Scrambling off, he blurts a sorry, while she shrieks he's way too close. Already she's barking for a rematch, and he balks at going again. No way, what is even happening? Of course, she snaps. She hasn't lost yet. Then knights come thundering across the field, one shouting for the princess to stop. A bearded veteran reins in and she gawks. Why is Vios here? Standing now, a little sheepish, she lets him offer to explain. She holds up a sealed letter. As her father's representative, she's come for the Ashton family. Her father praised the Ashtons for downing the Chief Wolven, she explains, and had big hopes for Lin. Holding it out, she introduces herself. Licia Colossal, the Saintess of White. Stunned, he just mouths the name. Then it lands harder. Colossal. The veteran scolds the princess. Too long a break. And worse, she wandered off alone with no escort. In Legend of the Seven Heroes, she's the exact girl he's supposed to kill. Why is she even here? He panics. Later, the party is welcomed in, a servant bringing tea while his father rests. Seated across the tea table from her, he can't grasp how things ended up like this. Game memory surfaces. The Saintess of White, wildly popular for her looks and personality. She's the unconquerable heroine, fierce in event battles, who never joins the protagonist's party. Leaning in, she says she came in person to see who killed that Chief Wolven. Their spar convinced her, she says. He's not just strong, he's brave. So, would he visit them? A knight told her the village sits on the causal frontier, over 10 days out, one attendant's already wiped. Holed up out here, he'd figured he'd never cross paths with the Lord's daughter. Something wrong? She asks. No, he stammers, marveling she rode all this way alone just for him. He plays it down. His father had already wounded the beast, so the kill was never his. Don't be so humble, she says, but he insists he had no courage and barely knew technique. Sipping her tea, the saintess calls him unlike the all-talk nobles, which is why she wants him in clausal. He mulls it over. From that bout, he could tell she genuinely loves the sword. Sorry to disappoint her, he says. He has no plans to leave. Privately, he wants distance. Then she asks if he simply dislikes her. He startles, and she presses that he's kept his distance. Not it, the MC swears. He loves village life, never wanted the city, won't abandon it. He's the only one who can defend it. Another beast like the Chief Wolven, and it's gone. She concedes, but quietly vows she won't give up. Over a quiet meal with his parents and the princess, the hills sit far and still. Later, out by the stable, he feeds the horses as one snorts a long breath. He wonders if this counts as a workout. Then Lycia draws her sword, grinning. She's already cleared a rematch with Weiss and his parents. She even talked Weiss into it, he reels, then crouches, eyeing the blade in the grass. But she smiles it off. If he won't pick it up, she's extending her stay right here. Why reject her so hard, she asks. Sure, he has reasons. He forces a laugh and grabs the sword. Blade over her shoulder, she smirks. Beat her. And he learns why. Plus, he's coming to Clausel. The two square off across the stone yard. What if he wins? He asks. On the contrary, she says. Lose-lose either way, he groans. In that case, she grins, she'll just come back again. Bracing himself, he steadies as she calls it. Then she leaps in, both blades flashing, and up goes his block. Paired strikes drive him backward. Why so fixated on beating him? He asks mid-clash. His guard was down, she fires back. Blades nose to nose. The princess snaps, she hates losing. Isn't that obvious? He shoots back. Twin blades cross in a shower of sparks. Even as the Saintess of White, she says. She lunges, refusing to lose to some guy her own age. He blocks both swords, lost on what the Saintess has to do with any of this. Leaping high, she lays it out. Her skill blesses her with swordsmanship and raw power. Aura flaring, she adds she casts sacred magic too. So losing would be just... Then she comes screaming back in, terribly frustrating. From here, she gets serious, she grins, and she's definitely winning. Up goes his sword. Must be her sacred magic, faster and stronger, like a different person. Then game memory kicks in. The Saintess stacks holy power with healing, a brutal undead counter buff. Sacred magic, swordsmanship, enhanced body, all one skill in one. Watching her glow and charge, he admits she's pretty strong like this. Squared off, he gripes she could have used that earlier. She knows, but Weiss would scold her for using it unpermitted. Privately, he figures she's spoiled rotten. Eyes narrowing, he decides it's time he got serious too. She drops from the sky, blade overhead, and up he surges to meet her. Blades clash again, and lens locked in. By now he's read her every move. The two grind blade to blade, faces inches apart, both straining. Compared to that first bout, he admits, she's gotten genuinely strong. Then his sword snaps up to her throat, and she freezes. He presses, and she staggers back. Ducking low, he sweeps her feet out and sends her sword flying. The blade kisses her face as her weapon spins away. Beaten, the princess sprawls in the grass while he stands over her. Catching his breath, he calls it his win. Sword lost in the grass, she breathes a stunned, no way. Their past clashes flash by, her lunging, him countering. Tears welling, she scrambles up, insisting she hasn't lost yet. Then two hands clap together, calling the spar to a halt. Vio steps in, praising the boy for beating her sacred magic so young. On top of Lord Roy's training, no wonder the kid took the Chief Wolven alone. The bearded veteran tells her she's surely grasped this young man's strength now. She murmurs one name, Weiss. Leaning in, Vios hopes she'll go home all the more driven. A quiet yes, then she murmurs she knows, composure settling back over her face. Still flushed, she apologizes for barging in, but calls it a great experience. Flustered, Len agrees it was great for him too, and she says she'll go rest. Then the old knight promises to tell the Baron how kindly the Ashtons hosted them. Waving it off, the boy says it was nothing. He barely did anything. But the veteran insists he did. A fine eye-opener for a princess no one her age can match. He'd have liked more days of sparring. The kid begs off, yet they ride out at dawn. The young lady, he adds, negotiated with her father herself to handle several village tasks. touring the Baron's villages, calming the unrest from the recent turmoil. Is that so? Len wonders. Top of her class in both blade and books, the protagonist figures she's no pompous noble. A bit much and hard to read, sure, but a good person, though maybe something else underneath. Years on, in black, an older him stands over her fallen body. Did it really end this way? Under a full moon, he never expected her this early. The game barely touched their childhood. Morning breaks over the valley. A cottage in the green, a rooster crowing it in. Up at the fortress, Licia lies wide awake, telling herself she can't give up here. Meanwhile, her veteran knight turns a letter over. A letter to the boy? Oh? An invitation to Clausel lands better on paper, she explains, and asks what he thinks. Reading it through, the old knight stalls. How to put this, however, this is... Did she slip up somewhere? She asks. Deadpan, he answers. Young lady, this looks like a love letter. A love letter? Yes, he says, and her eye goes wide. She means every word, she insists. He reads back a line on passion surpassing anything before they met, but he fears it reads like a maiden desperately in love, and he understands, my lady. Her whole face freezes in horror. Clutching herself, she dies a little as Vios keeps going. Your valor, your bravery, your gallantry. It's the truth, she protests, flushed. Anyone would want to spar a swordsman that good, again and again. Rereading her words, she deflates as the knight lands it. It sounds like a country girl seeing a hero. Head down, burning red, she finally concedes. It is like a love letter. He's right. Either way, the thing gets tossed when they leave, and she curls up. Is this just her first personal letter? Knights mount up outside the Ashton house, and the family sees the visitors off. Already mounted, the princess glances back, her escort waiting. Then the whole party rides off through the woods, leaving the village behind. Hunched low over her mount, she suddenly spurs it into a hard gallop. A satchel flap pops open, and a folded letter spills out on a gust of wind. Off in the field, Len summons the demon sword of Bandit. It steals a random item at a fixed chance. The claw blade at his lips, he figures he'll practice here, since he's never tested banditry once. He spots a bird, points, and one comes swooping in fast. A single feather lands in his palm, and the protagonist gawks at the glove on his hand. So the thing really can swipe something off a target. Good to know. More birds chirp on the branch. He points again, lifts another steel, then frowns at his grip. A handwritten page unfolds in his fingers, and he stares. A letter? Reading it through, his eyes go wide. What is this? A love letter? Reading on, he clocks a mention of someone's swordsmanship and wonders who's inviting him to Clausel. Lycia's face surfaces. Did she write this? Then why is it lying here? The thought jolts him, and the beast's lunging claw flashes back. Letter in hand, he turns to the tree line. Knights, he realizes, and not Weiss's people, as riders roll in behind a banner. A helmeted rider looms over him while he reads the crest. Knights of another domain. That unicorn sigil isn't Clausel's. The riders draw up around him, one horse towering over the boy. Then a knight reins in hard, his mount rearing to a halt. Dust still settling, the lead rider asks if he serves Ashton Village. Yes, but who are they? A message from Viscount Givens, the knight explains, and they order him to lead the way. Givens, a domain just northeast, outranking the Baron, so he can't brush them off. He agrees. First Licia leaves, now this. What now? He sighs. The manor rolls into view, villagers out front, and a knight can only blink. Inside, two knights corner him while Milieu fusses over a seated boy and Roy stands guard. A message? For him? A blonde knight strides down. The Viscount has one too. He just didn't expect this kid to be Len Ashton. The newcomer smiles. The Viscount prizes his talents and wants him. Apologizing, the hooded knight cuts in. Their lord invited Sir Len first, and the boy manages a confused, huh? No harm approaching the boy, the blonde man smirks. An invitation isn't an answer. And besides, you must be Clausel's. Vios fires back. Bring the boy out and they deal with him first. This whole village sits under Clausel. Leaning closer, the veteran presses. Rank aside, surely any servant of Givens knows that's just courtesy. Behind him waits a row of mounted Givens knights, and Roy and his son tense at the standoff. Eyes closing, the newcomer concedes. Fair enough, they'll back off. The riders fan across the field, calling back that they'll return, as Vios watches them go. Later, inside, Roy reads the document aloud. They wanted the village folded into Givens' domain. The household gathers around the bed. Factional dispute has reached even here, someone notes. To his shame, the veteran admits the man is right. One word sticks in the boy's head. Factional dispute. The Laomel Empire splits three ways, every noble sworn to one faction. First, the Imperial faction, under the Lion King's crest, holding that only royal blood should rule. Second, the Hero faction, descended from those who sealed the Demon King, led by 7 great houses. Many want the Imperials reined in for a fairer empire. Given stands with the heroes. Last comes the neutral faction, balanced like a set of scales. Pacifists who hate conflict and respect both sides. Baron Clausel is one of them. Folding a border village into another domain is rare, she explains, but possible if all sides agree. Some hidden play lies behind it. Len wonders aloud why grab a village this small. The Saintess of White matters too, Vios adds. The Baron's a fine noble, so how's his circle to pull Clausel in? A power struggle this thick, with conspiracy? He wants no part of it. Eyeing a spiderweb, he figures they're already tangled in it. The Ashtons aren't clear either. He calls out, "Father," then steels himself. He can't read Givens, but caution costs nothing. Scanning the letter while a shirtless Roy listens, he reads they'd stationed knights for the village's weak defenses. The Wolven mess? No record marks the Ashtons as weak, his father points out, and that incident was strange enough to call an anomaly. An anomaly, huh? The boy turns the word over. Over tea, Len shares what Weiss told him. A lord can be punished for sending too few troops against monsters. So could the Clausels be punished too? Vios confirms protecting the land is the lord's duty. Back in the cramped house, the protagonist names the man behind it. Givens is aiming for exactly that. Roy goes pale as both parents ask if the Viscount means to frame Baron Clausel with the recent chaos. He plays the Baron's savior, the boy explains, then reels him into the hero faction. And maybe, the MC adds, scratching his head, Givens planned all of this from the start. Worst case, Veos cuts in, the schemer's been plotting it a long while. The Chief Wolven attack might trace back to Givens too, he adds. Roy nearly snaps. A monster loosed on purpose? Too far, he says. Still, it all fits if it's true, the boy says, even without proof. Milieu gets it, but warns a thing like that could blow into a massive scandal. That earns a stunned, "Huh?" from the old knight. Shocked the kid reached the Baron's own fear so fast. Nothing can be done now, Vios goes on. They stay watchful. He vows to warn the Baron and push for tighter guard, while Milieu begs Roy not to overdo it. He can't keep lying low forever. As the writers fade out, he muses his place in the story has shifted. That hero faction may still come for him one day, and he never knew who his allies in the legend were. Time drifts on, seasons rolling toward a quiet night over Tsurugi Rock. Autumn turns to winter, the village settles in, and a boar comes charging through the snow. Out on the hunt, a knight thanks him. With his help, the village can stock up. Another good haul today. Talent like his never stops amazing them. Go to the capital, one says, and he'd make a name for sure. He just grins and waves it off. He won't leave. He's the Ashton heir. The younger knight apologizes for pushing, and the veteran cuts him off. Enough. They're troubling Sir Len. Bundle in hand, he steps through the door, calling he's home, and a voice welcomes him back. At the table sits a long-haired girl who tells him the madam is off with Granny Rig. Then he gets a good look at her face. His eyes go wide. She reads by the hearth like she owns the place, and he chokes out a stunned, "Huh?" "Don't shout," Lycia snaps, then folds her arms. Where else would she be, since he never came to Clausel? By the wooden tub, Lycia calls it handy. A hand lifts a shower head, the power of magic. Beaming, she presents a crystal orb that conjures water. No more trips to the well, a thank you for the spar. She waves it off, just an old broken one she fixed with her allowance. But he notes these tools run on magic stones, so isn't it pricey? Her smile fades. Her father wanted to protest, but pushing back on higher nobles is hard, and the gift doubles as her apology for the Givens mess. A flat is that so, while she sighs that even a saintess can't override ranks and factions. Then the lore drops. The saintess, blessed by the chief deity Elfin, is reborn across history, yet she's never felled a demon lord. Deadpan, he muses the saintess is respected, sure, just nowhere near the heroes or the Lion King. The mansion sits dark. Then she asks the startled boy to guide her to his father's room. She kneels at the bedside, hands over his sleeping father. A soft glow pours from her palms. Roy wakes and thanks her, and Len clocks it. Sacred magic. Out in the hall, he asks if she'd healed his father last visit too. She confirms it. The close-up catches him off guard. He had no idea, and apologizes. Snow over the mansion again, then a hard cut outside. Blades drawn, the two come lunging. Watching close, he notes her movements are sharper now. With a shout, Lycia charges, blade thrusting forward. Back to back, swords up, he warns her to be careful. He asks if she's all right. She startles, flustered. She lunges in again, and the protagonist gives ground. Panting, she demands how he never catches his breath. What stamina is this, even if you ask me, he mutters. What she enjoys most, she admits, is sparring with him. She swears she won't lose next time and wants another round at dawn. He just stares. And so they trade more sessions, and she lingers a few days, the two of them reading together. Out across the snow, Len and Milieu watch the escort ride off as she waves goodbye. So she really means to come back, and getting too close, he figures, is a bad idea. Winter ends, the next event stirs, and his pensive face says he feels it coming. A wide mountain valley, his 11th spring in this world. Roy's on his feet, health restored at last. Then knights ride in again, and the villagers go pale. Givens' men, back already. Roy asks what brings them. The knight greets him warm. The Viscount still prizes his skill, so here's an offer to join. A bad feeling hits, and the knight adds he's brought good news for the son, too. The Viscount, he says, will back Lin's admission into the special class at the Imperial Cadet Academy. He just stares. His father gapes, and the villagers freeze. The knight gets their shock. The special class is exceptional. Even plain admission is hard. It only takes heirs of the 7 great houses and a few capital prodigies. But the Viscount is Assistant Minister of Justice, so a recommendation letter is nothing to him. Smiling smug, the knight pushes the dream. Roy wavers, his son's eyes cold. No thank you, Len says flatly. He'll never leave this village. And the knight reels. Then it clicks why he refuses. The special class is exactly where the story's main characters belong. Enrolling would drag his future back onto the game's timeline. The Academy is a major setting in Legend of the Seven Heroes. Lycia reels, but he holds firm. This quiet life is enough. Wheeling on his father, she asks if he doesn't want his son made a noble. Roy answers that Lin's own will is what matters. He'd love to send the boy, but he's sorry. He'll write a reply to carry back. His pride is in serving the Clausel family for generations. Eyes lowering, she goes quiet, then steadies. It's fine. They'll deliver the answer themselves. Vios bows his head. Most unfortunate, Sir Knight. A few days later, things now changed. The Givens envoy rides out. Banner streaming, the riders gallop off the ridge. Up front on the veteran's horse, the princess rides, brooding. Then he welcomes her third visit, sprinting out with a wooden tub as she arrives, still downcast. But this time she's laid up in bed, feverish, a maid hovering, the Clausel manor far off. Vios apologizes. She fell ill 3 days back. A strange sickness that only strikes children with strong magic. It comes with no warning, doesn't spread, and leaves immunity. A blonde girl burns in bed, and the doctor warns it could turn fatal without weeks of rest. Under a thin crescent moon, he's told to wait until she recovers. The words stop him cold. 3 days on, her condition stabilizes, and a servant ushers him in. Lady Lycia, Lin is here. He steps into her room, her cheeks still flushed, and finds her sitting up, watching him. Looking away, she murmurs an apology. She came here on her own, fell ill the moment she arrived, and now he's stuck nursing her. No, it's not okay, she insists, but he waves it off fast. None of this is her fault. This trip meant to visit more villages, she explains, and to show Givens she won't back down. Even with her limited pull, she wanted to prove Clausel stands united behind her. Her fist clenches the sheet. She's furious with herself. In the end, she couldn't do a thing, and he notes she's already weighing her duties, this young. A tear slips loose as she calls herself an annoying brat who never once beat him. Your mother, he echoes, and she says she's only tarnishing her late mother's name. Then the backstory. When her mother learned she was the Saintess, she was overjoyed. Even on the day illness took her, she kept saying her daughter would do great things. But Lycia only ever saw that face in portraits, never once heard the voice. They say her childhood outfit is that very same one. Wearing it into a fight, she felt her mother cheering. Listening, Len realizes he never knew. The thing was a memento. For all of it, she admits, the effort was in vain. She only wanted to live up to everyone. Hands clasped, she murmurs this will be her last time here. Word reached her that Len declined the academy offer and pledged loyalty to Clausel. She can't keep acting spoiled. Then she apologizes, truly sorry for all the trouble, and says she's already spoken to Weiss. A hand to her chest, she bows her sincere thanks for every kindness. Just as he figured, the girl is nothing but pure. If anything, the one hiding secrets here is him. Facing the Saintess's quiet resolve, he wonders, is this the end? Lycia asks to borrow some ink. Hers ran dry, and she owes her father a letter. Sure, Len says. The stationery's in the box on his desk. He was tidying when she came. Turns out this is his room. Trouble again, she frets. Then a favor. Next time, bring a fire lighting tool. What does he mean? She asks. Next visit, he says. She told him this was the last. He just shrugs, it'd be handy. She snaps that she won't be back, and besides, he's been dodging their spars. He fumbles, raises a finger. Spring a spar out of nowhere and anyone gets thrown. Warn him ahead though, and it's fine. He'll spar all she likes, in the village. He won't risk her fever. A proper talk once she's better, he says. She manages a confused, huh? Stunned, she watches him go. Out in the hall, he wonders what he's even saying. Lycia stares at the closed door, turning it over. Is she really welcome back? Her mother's dress hangs nearby. Strange, the headache's already fading, her hand fisting the sheets. She pads over barefoot. Borrowing the desk, she murmurs, while she still has the strength to write. Eyeing the boxes below, she wonders if the ink's tucked in that one. She freezes, this paper, as a chest flips open and the stolen letter lifts out. The writing praises his valor, then confesses her feelings run deeper than ever. She goes pale, and Vios remarks it reads an awful lot like a love letter. Mortified, she snatches it back. Panic, She thought it lost, and he's definitely read it. Pure denial now. It isn't a love letter. Just overzealous praise, nothing more. Her flustered face cuts to him smiling warmly, and she cries, "Why? Just why?" Hugging it to her chest, she mutters, "Geez, what's the big deal? Throw it away already," she scolds herself. Why cling to it like it's precious? Blushing, she whispers, "Didn't he want her never to fall for him?" and tucks it away. Arm over her eyes, she wonders what he thought, reading it. His smile lingers. Next day, knights gather outside the manor. At the lady's request, Weiss and the others repay the family with hunting and carpentry. Milieu heads to Granny Rig for medicine, Roy follows Weiss's group, and Lynn's sent to patch the house. A knight asks where the materials are. He points to the box by the bridge, Licia watching from the window. With her slowly recovering, everyone figures one more week and she's back on her feet. Soon they could finally head home to Clausel, just as they're thinking it. Then rain, a drop on a leaf, ripples, a downpour over the whole forest. Loading lumber, the knights call a break. Pouring rain, fog rolling in. Resting under a tree, he asks if anyone else smells burning. Blank looks. Can't tell through the wet brush, he says, but it smells like a field after a controlled burn. Then he bolts. A knight shouting after him. The smell's coming from his house. The whole village stands wrapped in flame, black smoke pouring into the sky. Racing toward the column, he goes pale. The place is burning. Tearing across the field, he spots two men dead, a sword fallen beside one. He drops over a body, the neck's bitten clean off. A monster? The house is an inferno, and the young lady's still inside. A swordsman lunges from the smoke. He barely twists clear. Blade in his grip amid the smoke, and the gut punch. Every guard left behind is down. Coughing up a smoke-choked stare, he wonders if the enemy planned all of this. Did they just wait for one open moment to strike? Then it looms through the flames, a hooded thing, bat wings, long serpent tail. His eyes blow wide. A hulking black beast bears its fangs, a mana-eater, a formidable D-rank monster. Then a girl lies motionless, long hair spread, eyes shut. Blade up, he tears toward her through the fire, screaming for her. He lunges, yelling for her to run, and the dark thing calmly notes he must be Len Ashton. A slash rips the smoke, but he's lost on what's happening. Down on his knees, no strength left, his vision smearing. Back in a quiet kitchen, his hand finds a lidded pot, and the smell stops him cold. Incense, strong enough to drop someone for days. Eyes heavy, he knows it's bad. He crumples, hand falling slack as the dark takes him, and the flames roar back up. The protagonist comes to, face down in a pile of straw. "Where am I?" he mutters. Then a frantic voice nearby cries out for the young lady. He scrambles to a girl on the ground. "It's me, Len Ashton. Are you all right?" Her eyes flutter open. Awake already, he's caught off guard. Then relief. She's breathing. A captor's voice drifts in. 4 days of sleep is plenty. Behave, and you won't be harmed. Outside, a wagon rattles through the woods, and he reels. 4 days. Hauled how far? Endless mountains roll past, and he can't fathom why anyone took them. Then the figure steps into view, hooded and faceless. A beast tamer who commands monsters. 2 D-rank beasts snarl at his side. No enemy to rush blindly. Beside the feverish girl, the protagonist clocks the real problem. Her condition's getting worse, fast. Her hands stay bound, her breathing falters. Any longer and her life's in danger. He won't let her die here. Whatever it takes, he will save her. In the dark, a voice murmurs that he had a dream. A dream about Len Ashton, eyes shut, drifting far off. In it, too scared to fetch the herbs, he froze and watched his father die fighting Chief Wolven. With the old man gone, something attacked the village, torched it, took countless lives. Screaming for his mom, the boy clutched her broken body and choked out an apology. And in all that ruin, he just held her on the scorched ground. Then she rode in with knights to save the rest, a girl who looked like nothing short of a saintess. The two faced off over his mother's body, and a thought surfaced. Was this it? Len's past, exactly as the legend of the 7 heroes told it? Back now, a cart rumbles through black woods, and he wonders if their meeting was always fated. At least the dream pair weren't enemies. Then his eyes snap open. The story says he takes the saintess's life. So why, he asks, was there ever a reason? A wheel jolts to a stop. Bound in the cart bed, he notices they've stopped. Then the hooded captor turns and looms over him and the limp Lycia. She tosses down water and food, telling him to share with his lady. He begs to free his hands. No more spoiling him, she says. She's handed over potions and herbs for days now. The hatch slides shut. Her magic tool feeds every sound to her, so yelling is pointless. As the door grinds closed, she tells him to sleep. Outside sits the caged wagon, 2 monsters and a horse around it. Chained within, he strains. Dragging himself over with a water skin, he tips it to her lips. The trickle reaches her mouth and she stirs, groaning weakly. He has to move tonight. Her strength is at its limit. Above, a full moon. The tamer asleep by the fire, the beasts resting. Then his eyes snap open. He summons the demon sword of metal and cuts the chains. The blade cut them like nothing. He marvels at the edge, then carves the bars. With the captor still out cold, he hauls the princess onto his back and climbs free. A fanged maw lunges. A winged shape drops. The monsters are awake, and he bolts. Sprinting from the wagon, he glances back as a winged D-rank dives at them. At the last second, he dives them under the cart. Vines erupt around the wheels, and the hooded tamer freezes at the tangle. Then, one of his beasts lunges, and something tears off fast across the slope. Carrying her limp form, he bolts, only for a spinning vortex to bloom in his path. Where did a kid get a weapon like that? The tamer reels. His vines snare the white beast as a chained ball whips in. Demon Sword of Wood, he names it, roots binding the screeching monster. The vines coil tighter, lashing it down while he steers from across the clearing. Recoiling at the green sprawl, the captor mutters it can't be. Natural magic? Sword raised, he leaps for the root-tangled horse beast, but the tamer levels his staff, snarling that the boy isn't getting away. Then he swaps blades midair. Demon Sword of Bandit, snatching at his enemy's grip. Clutching her tight, he braces as the hooded man jerks back, startled. Ivy crawls up the captor's arm. He gapes at his empty hand, demanding to know where his staff went. The beast neighs, the man pleading for him to listen, while a dark tendril whips out. A monstrous fanged maw yawns open and slams down over them both. Twin swords flashing, a figure clashes head-on with the towering beast. Its jaws snap and growl, then a small rider tears through the trees. From the smoke, the hooded man swears he won't let Len Ashton escape, noting his unusual power. One hand thrust skyward, he calls the beasts of the forest to heed him. His summons answers across the woods. An ape rears, a boar and a wolf thing snarl awake. A wolf beast barks, and the gathered monsters ring the boy in. He realizes the man's whole power is hurting beasts, though only one's weaker than himself. The demon sword of metal flickers into his grip. He cuts through the pack, monsters flung aside. A burst of dust, then the protagonist lands and bolts on. Right then, a beast lunges. He throws himself toward the unconscious princess. Scooping her up, he flings his blade arm to shield her. A monster slams down hard, but he holds on. Then he breaks into a run, the beasts giving chase. Night settles over the mountains, a thin trail of smoke under the moon. Meanwhile, far north, the fortress city of Clausel, a man reels. Licia? Kidnapped? It's her father, Baron Lazard Clausel. Head bowed, his old veteran calls leaving her side an unforgivable failure, and begs to take the punishment. Vios drops to one knee, pleading for more time to save the young lady. The Baron won't blame him. It was her own order, and he never doubted his loyalty. But his hand slams the desk. They must act now. Contact the Imperial capital, he orders. Alert the faction's nobles. Inform the Emperor. Right then, a messenger bursts in. Visitors from the capital, and they can't wait. In the Grand Hall, 3 cloaked envoys ask the man at the stairs if he is Baron Clausel. He tenses as one raises a sealed scroll. They come for the Minister of Justice. The writ unfurls. He's under scrutiny for negligence that let monsters ravage the land of Viscount Givens. A lone white horse plods across the grasslands, the 2 of them riding double. Propped against a tree, the feverish princess takes the herbs he offers. She sips from the cup. Bitter, but it brings the fever down. Wiping her mouth, she lets him raise a water skin to her lips. He steadies it while she drinks deep. Then he dips it in the stream to refill, the horse drinking beside him. Fever easing, Lycia asks where he got those herbs. 3 days back, he'd traded monster materials in a village for the herbs and supplies. Color returns to her face, and she thanks him. He brushes it off. She points at the jagged peaks ahead and asks how he knew the way. Snow-capped and vast, the range stretches across the horizon, the Baldur Mountains. Spot them, and you can gauge your position, he says. Inwardly, that's where the final boss went down in the game. 4 days to Clausel, he figures. She turns to him, urging they make sure his family's safe first. He grins it off. They weren't home that day, surely sheltering somewhere safe. Don't worry, the others are fine, he tells her. But feverish, she falters. He'll greet the Baron, see the country, then head home. Barely conscious, she manages a thank you, then her eyes drift shut. Rain comes down hard over the dark forest. He leads the horse toward a rocky overhang for shelter. Crouched in his cloak, he coaxes a fire up and feeds it kindling. A big bird beast lies dead nearby. He reaches for it. Awake now, she asks how he downed such a creature. Eyeing the vine-wrapped blade, she wonders if it's that mysterious sword. She pouts that he's mean. He just says its true power stays a secret. A gem pendant dangles from a chain. What is this thing? She holds it out, says it looks broken. Some kind of magic tool, he asks. He snatched it off the beast tamer during the escape. The captors mentioned a tool to soundproof the carriage. Maybe this is it. Turning it over, she figures it could serve as evidence. Skewers crisp over the fire. Done, he figures. Sorry to keep her waiting, he tells the lady, brushing seasoning over the meat. Plain in looks and taste, he admits, but if she'd like a try. She lifts a skewer. Quietly, she'll have some. Behind her hand she chews, while across from her he watches, tense. Then her face lights up. It's delicious. Glad to hear it, he says, a lone rider crossing the ruined land beyond. Under a fruit tree, he plucks a pear and hands it to the cloaked girl. By a stone bridge, they rest. Down at the river, he crouches over the wash. Bundled in a blanket while her dress dries, she huddles as he wrings the cloth. She peers over the cloak. He steps close, reaching out. Excuse me. His hand brushes her brow to check the fever, and she goes wide-eyed. Once she's better, he says evenly, they'll have a proper talk. He pulls back. Her face is still red, palm to a forehead. The fever seems to have broken, though. She waves him off. It's nothing. She's fine, even as her fevered eyes say otherwise. One flat look from him, and she's touching her own burning forehead. Back to her question. After reading her letter, what went through his head? Then he cuts in. He wants to ask something. He presses her, flushed, clearly hiding something. Pardon, he blinks, then holds up the kept letter. Why hang on to that? Was she treasuring it, he prods? Tucked away in a box, no less? His eyes go wide. He plays dumb. Which one? What does she even mean? Until she snaps. The thing in his room. A memory surfaces. She once lifted a stone from a crate and asked why he hoards these magic stones. He deflects. He isn't collecting them. They just looked nice. She notes an emptied stone won't sell well. His mother chimes in. Must run in the blood. His father was the same. So don't turn out like him. Hand to his chin, he eyes the crate. The magic stones. Maybe. He does have a pile. A weird hobby from a girl's view, he muses, as Lycia steals a flushed look his way. Ever since that first glance, he admits, it's been stuck on his mind. And she takes it entirely the wrong way, going red. That's the only way to put it, he confirms, while she short-circuits, calling it unfair. Through her fever, she mumbles it's not strange. Do what he wants with it. Odd to cling to something, he admits. Then he wonders if it bothers her that the things come from inside a monster. Wrapped in a cloak on the rocks, she sits while he confesses it interests him, then mutters a sorry. Flushed, she snaps at him to stop bringing it up. She gets it already. Put like that, she thinks. How is she even supposed to react? He glances away, awkward, and she tells him to use her name. I said, she starts, and he blinks back a confused, huh? Turning away, she allows it, if he must. Cheeks red, she insists he call her by name. None of it lands for him, and he wonders what that was about. A village comes into view. A woman telling a boy food alone helps, but they're out of medicinal herbs. Now a horse carries the hooded princess. Where are they headed? A villager asks. None set, he says. Keep straight and you'll hit Clausel, the woman beams. Anything special there? He asks. Under her hood, the princess stills as the woman adds, the Baron of Clausel will soon be punished. Stunned, she presses for what happened and why, but the villager only stammers she isn't sure. Beside a snarling beast, a composed man spreads the rumor. The Baron of Clausel loosed monsters on Viscount Givens. A lone rider gallops in pursuit, while ahead he clutches the fevered Lycia, and she murmurs a faint, why? Even half-conscious, she refuses it. A made-up story. Impossible. Her father would never. This is wrong no matter how he turns it, the boy thinks. The lie too clean to be real. Far north, the fortress city of Clausel rises over a shattered wagon wheel. A carriage rolls through the streets as townsfolk gather and murmur. The door swings open, and a polished boot steps onto the stones. Armored attendants bow. The moment has come, Viscount. The hero faction's reach grows once this land is theirs. A stern, bespectacled old lord narrows his eyes, the air around him cold. Hand on his cane beneath a lion banner, he declares it all for Leomel, to rise from its decay. But first, under the unicorn crest, the real order. Bring down the Clausels. Riders tear across the hills at a full gallop. Armored knights close in, one barking at them to hold it right there. Glancing back, Len mutters they can't shake the two off their tail. Lycia leans low, begging the horse for more. Clear the hill and they're near settlements. Up on the ridge waits a hooded figure, a winged beast circling the moonlit rock. A low growl rolls out of the dark, and his eyes snap to it. The hood lifts. He knew the two would pass through here. It's the beast tamer. Perched on the broken rock with his beast, he's been waiting all along. Their horse rears as the creature looms out of the stones. Then the winged beast unleashes a storm of feathers, rock blasting everywhere. The barrage swallows them whole, blades and rubble tearing through the air. Right then, a wall of vines and giant blossoms erupts, the demon's sword of wood, shielding them. Lycia demands her old training sword back as riders come thundering straight in. The knights wave them down, shouting to stop, they're allies. A swarm of rat things floods the field, and the riders scream. Above the chaos, a robed figure rides the winged beasts and calls their timing terrible. Hemmed in on the white horse, Len hears the offer. Surrender quietly, or nothing moves. And if that fails, the tamer adds, there's no choice left but to kill them. Vines erupt from his wood blade and lash the giant wasps apart. Mushrooms burst up around the horse as Lycia stirs awake, eyes sharp. Monsters scatter, and the tamer notes she's grown stronger again. A massive maw lunges. She snarls she trained to beat him and cuts it down. Then she leaps into the horde, twin blades carving through monster after monster. Back to back, Len grimaces. No escape unless they take down the beast tamer. Lycia screams his name as mounted knights get blown apart behind him. A monstrous beast bursts straight up out of the rubble. Its huge jaws yawn open. He braces a hand up, and beside him, she flinches. Right then, he calls it up, the demon sword of metal. Sword raised, he cuts clean through the lunging maw. The whole creature splits and crashes down in a storm of debris. She marvels he's gotten stronger too, then yelps as the carcass collapses behind them. Somewhere, a voice muses a sword strike's wind pressure carrying this far. A long-haired, pointed-eared figure watches from beneath the moon. His eyes go wide. Back in the bare trees, a hooded staff bearer stands waiting. Ringed by swarming monsters on horseback, he can't believe it. Why is he here? And the long-haired stranger, in profile, has a name on the wind, Yurtku. A knight charges the wreckage while a long-haired figure stands calm in the storm. High in the bare branches, the beast tamer finally shows himself, Yurtku. He's a boss straight out of the Legend of the Seven Heroes, his natural magic behind all this pain. A wanderer who roams the whole continent, Yurtku wasn't due to cross Len's path until the Cadet Academy, so why now? Both arms are bound by a magic seal, punishment for slaughtering his own kind. Sealed this tight, he can wield only one of his two skills at once, and the staff that lifts it stayed broken since their escape. Eyeing the stolen pendant, Len figures Givens hired the elf, paying in the secret of breaking that seal. Down the rocky pass, a churning tide of monsters floods toward them. Mounted double, Lycia catches her breath. Does he really think they can win? Tactics, he echoes, thrown by the word. Waiting on the enemy side, another Chief Wolven and two more D-rank beasts, just as strong. If those two ever charge, victory might slip out of reach. She waits, then her face eases, glad to hear it. Holy light flares around her. She draws her blade, the saintess of white. A startled, huh, and the two stand back to back, swords up. Len's eyes go wide, caught off guard. Yurtku hums, curious, eyeing the dark blade in someone's grip. Ringed by the swarm, Lycia locks on with a hard stare. The whole picture, two of them, tiny at the center in a sea of beasts. Back to back, they cut into the horde, blades flashing. That's sacred magic, the elf murmurs as she blasts a path through. Side by side, swords up, they hold the line. The winged beast rears and unleashes a blast. A rider charges in below. Len sweeps her onto the horse, sword raised, and rides through the chaos. Teeth clenched, she strains a hand out, fighting to keep up. One swing sends the winged beast flying back in a burst. The monster reels, but the smaller swarm shrieks and surges again. They'll make it out, with her beside him. With him beside her, she's certain now. They'll win. Then the elf steps forward. He'll finish this himself. From the flames, a rider surges up, hauling the reins, hurling a shout. Lycia turns at the voice, eyes wide. Then a long lance comes screaming over their heads. It rips clean through the winged beast as Yurtku watches from the rocks. The monster shrieks, runs straight through, blood spraying. The blow blasts it backward, howling, into the dust. A knight on horseback charges in, calling for Lady Lycia. He plows into the swarm, scattering monsters as he goes. Among the wreckage, she freezes beside the severed head. Then rubble erupts from a fresh impact, and she spins around, alarmed. Bodies smolder across the field, while the rider rears his mount. Doubled in the smoke, the princess coughs and coughs. She sags, and the knight kneels to catch her. Is she all right? The sacred magic was too much on top of the sickness. A heavy boot crunches the rubble. Across the smoke, he stares at her fallen form. The pointed-eared stranger stands in the drifting ash, cloak streaming. Yurk. The name lands, and Len just stares. A face in close-up, shifting, unreadable. Then the head tips back into a wild, ragged fit of laughter. Looking at the blood pooling underfoot, the elf marvels it all came from one body. All he ever wanted was to kill as many as his hands could reach, to undo his seal. But now he can't kill anyone. Below, the protagonist cradles the unconscious princess and watches. Sinking down, hand to face, the stranger despairs. Is this the end? Feverish and panting, Lycia refuses behind narrowed eyes. No, she can still go on. Watching people on death's brink, he muses, always fills him with unspeakable ecstasy. So what's he getting at? The MC snaps. And the answer? A pleasure higher than any between two bodies. Across the rubble, a huge dark tail uncoils, and a massive reptile rears with a growl. An open hand reaches toward it, naming it, the Mana Eater. Grinning, an arm marked in dark patterns, Yurtku gives the command, devour my arm. Madness running wild, Yurtku lets the seal break along with everything else. The Mana Eater clamps onto his arm and tears, and Len can only watch. Cackling, the elf lets the beast devour the limb as blood sprays the dark. The pain should break him, but he raves that it hurts and still feeds it on. That's right, he eggs it, swallow the whole thing. Then the chains snap and light bursts at his chest as the seal gives, but it still holds. Was the arm not enough? He snarls. Bound again, he resigns himself. This is the end, and he has no regrets. Right then, a blade streaks in and slams home, scattering the chains in a spray of blood. A clean line carved across his face, the elf gasps. The mana-eater rears up huge, jaws gaping over the small figure below. Len calls the wooden blade, and vines whip out to bind the beast as roots erupt. Giggling that it hurts, Yurku mocks what his pricey offering bought. Then the beast lunges. Heels dug in, he meets it and swings the metal blade in one hard slash. Pinned in a towering tangle of branches, the elf rasps that while he still breathes. Eyes wild, he gives the order, kill them both. Wings spread, the summoned beast rears over the dust. It crashes down, and far below the protagonist stands his ground. The wolf-jawed thing lunges. Len drops low, blade drawn under the cape. His eyes snap wide as a massive paw slams down, and he hurls himself clear. The blow clips him anyway, throwing him reeling. Then the beast bucks, flinging even the elf screaming into the air. Its huge body whips around and the sweep knocks him off his feet. It bounds through the air while the boy skids hard across the broken ground. Choking on dust, he forces himself back up. The serpent coils to strike again. Then the elf slams down with a cry. This isn't the strength he knew, Yurku thinks, as roots burst from the earth. Low and fast, the monster charges across the rubble, straight for him. Bloodied, Len realizes the mana-eater is now B rank, maybe higher. With a roar, the winged beast looms full over him, and he lifts his sword. Lycia goes down in the dust as the dark beast lunges below. Fangs snap. The blow knocks her flying, her sword spinning from her hand. The winged monster looms through the haze, and a knight is hurled, skidding across the dirt. Flat on the ground, Len coughs in the choking dust. She lifts her head, calling his name, a towering spider beast crawling over the field behind him. Watching it all, Lycia tenses as Yurku, perched on a giant gnarled tree, gloats that this is what killing is about. Then the boy grips his bracelet. She fights to breathe, and the elf rapturously calls this his final ecstasy. Both of them lie sprawled as the beasts circle in. A burst of light flares, and weakly she reaches out, thanking him. Tears at her eyes, she thanks him for always protecting her, selfish as she's been. Drifting now, she barely registers him raising his head, and murmurs for him to leave this place. Stay safe, she breathes. At least he should live on. His eyes sharpen, and a giant claw comes slamming down toward them both. Rising beside her, the protagonist smiles. He'd never dream of leaving her behind. She stares in shock as he stands small before the fanged beast, sword ready, its claw rearing down. Cloak whipping, the elf swings wide, the broken staff trailing after him. The blow lands on the beast, and a blade rips across in answer. Teeth bared, Len drives his sword straight ahead. A talon crashes down as Yurku's laughter rips through the air. The mana-eater rears up huge over him, energy blasting at its feet. It roars and slams a paw down, and he barely twists clear. He grabs for a fallen blade as the winged beast crashes to the ground. Dashing past a stuck sword, he reaches out and a hilt flies to his hand. Then he throws himself over Lycia, shielding her where she's collapsed. Gasping, he cradles her limp body while the monster growls in close. His hand opens, the patterned bracelet on his wrist flaring to life. Light bursts from the band as a blade answers, his eyes locking hard. A status window flickers up, a new demon sword he can't even read, level 1. Stunned, he stares at the unknown blade surfacing at a time like this. Then his face drops as the claw comes sweeping down on them both. The beast's claw comes crashing down. Bracelet on his raised wrist, Len swears he'll do anything so long as it can protect her. Light tears up from his fist. He doesn't care what it takes. Yurku's eyes go wide as the boy locks onto him, dead calm. Then the beast lunges, a blinding glow swelling at its jaws. It barrels straight across the ground. Roots and vines erupt skyward, and the elf freezes. How is any of this possible? A wall of light washes over everything. The two forces slam together and detonate over the valley. A pillar of light roars up out of the wreckage. It punches into the sky, towering over the whole mountain range. At its heart stands the boy, hand outstretched, the power pouring off him. Lycia stares, awed. What kind of power is this? As he stands quiet in the afterglow. And there he stands over her, fever-stricken at his feet, the glow still drifting down. In a far capital fortress, a blonde girl shakes a boy awake. Baron Clausel is finally being shipped to the imperial capital. Down in the streets, two men talk it over. A sham trial, and the Viscount behind it once aided the justice minister. A long road through the city, crowds packing both sides. Then a stern noble rides at the procession's head, knights and banners flanking him. Once the transfer clears, the capital handles the rest. Almost time. From the crowd, a girl wonders why the Viscount fixated on Len Ashton. Lycia's worth using, her companion shrugs, but Len's just a knight's son. A bespectacled, bearded elder only grins, turning her question over. Just a country knight, you say? He admits he stumbled onto old information, enough to lift his Givens family among the heroes. More to the point, the forest incident worries him, and for now, he alone will know the truth. Over a dusk forest, a ring of light still hangs. If that's the saint's power, something happened to Yurku. He's sending knights to investigate. They should manage the capture. Just don't make it any uglier. Outmaneuvering the Imperial faction is hard enough, the elder warns. Failure won't be forgiven. The noble answers yes. Knights ride out through a great stone gate as the schemer and the girl watch. A lone rider dwindles toward distant mountains, the old man seeing him off. At dawn, a rider crests the ridge, and a grizzled knight breathes. That's her. Lycia, pale and worn, lifts her eyes. Knights tear across the plain, shouting for the princess. One mounted soldier rears up stunned. Another barks at him to hold still. She tells them they're all right. Details can wait, as a veteran praises the kid for surviving. Slumped against him, the saintess murmurs she won't let his efforts go to waste. Then, a column of riders arrives, and a goateed lord in glasses is named Viscount Givens. She snaps. She's no manners to spare for a criminal. He warns her to mind her tongue. Givens sneers. It's an interesting line, but the real criminal is her father. Her strained eyes give her away. She's exhausted, he notes, just putting on a brave face. Barely conscious, young as he'd heard, she's clearly been through plenty. Even now, can she stay this bold? Have a look, he presses. Then she thrusts out the elf's stolen pendant. Investigate it, and it ties straight back to him. Unfazed, the Viscount scoffs that it's a funny thing for a saint to say. Lycia rounds on him. She and Len were attacked by the elf he hired. Lowering his glasses, he asks coolly why she came stumbling out from over there. He turns the small tool in his fingers and scoffs. That's no evidence. She presses harder. His own knights ambushed them, and an investigation would prove it. Deceived by his knights? He sneers. Then she points and names the man who swung at her. Caught, the knight insists he was only commanding outside the forest, on the Viscount's orders. Sliding his glasses back on, Givens rules aloud that the young saint was simply deceived. He invites them to settle it properly in his town, all for the investigation. A wide, ugly grin spreads as he adds that none of it will be necessary. Then a mounted knight throws his arms wide, demanding the Viscount hear the young lady out. A slick-haired lord in dark robes cuts in. If they insist, judgment moves to the imperial capital. Cornered, the colossal knight commander grits his teeth as Lycia leans against Len. "Show your hands," a new voice orders. Givens snaps, "Who dares speak?" And the boy answers flat, "Obviously, your knight." Eyes still on him, she whispers his name. Then he flinches and looks away. A colossal knight steps to the young hero faction knight. "Show me the back of your hand." Lycia jumps in, eager. There should be scars there, ones she and Len made together. The knight stalls, but the grizzled veteran asks again, "Please." Givens flatly cuts in, "No," and the knight stammers, "Viscount." He snaps, "That's not it. He got those at work," while the veteran says it once more. "Show it, quick," the veteran growls, before his own hand reaches the swords. Then a wide capital square, a knight before a crowd. The cornered knight peels off his gauntlet, metal clattering down. Inspecting the bared hand, the veteran notes, "Not very good potions." Indeed, those are sword wounds, and the white burns look like holy magic. No matter how pricey the potion, holy magic scars linger. Did he not know? The veteran stares the scowling Viscount down, the exposed knight cornered. Then Givens laughs it off. To clear his own knight, why not form a new committee? Over the protest, he rules it settled in the capital. First trial done, the Baron's transfer stands. A strangled gasp escapes Len as the street crowd murmurs. Beside the horses, Vios grits his teeth. Lycia gasps there's no way. Sneering through his glasses, Givens declares the show is over. She reaches out, calling for them to wait. Then the knights wheel their horses and ride off, the Viscount turning his back. Eyes welling, she's lost on what to even do. A sharp clap cuts the air, and all three snap toward the sound. Someone applauds the standoff as noble, praiseworthy courage. A man with an ornate cane calls it the most beautiful story. "You are," Lycia starts, as the figure strides past the riders, and a voice demands who he is. He introduces himself as Edgar, and tells the saint to leave this to him. Finger raised, he won't trample the boundaries they set. He only wants to help wrap up their story. Facing the Viscount, Edgar says he came to Clausel on his master's command. Givens explodes. Then first reveal the name of this master. Smiling, the newcomer lifts cane and trinket, apologizing for what comes next. A polished shield crest appears, and someone recognizes it with a jolt. Lycia tenses while Edgar strolls among the riders. They grasp it, even unspoken. A rider accuses the Viscount. Givens stammers a denial. The old noble notes a man of his rank surely knows. Scheming against the crest is a capital offense. Then the envoy turns to the court officials. He speaks in his master's name, free to act as he sees fit. An official mutters he sees. Givens flinches, and the old man calls for a full retrial. His master, Edgar adds, owes deep gratitude to a boy named Len Ashton and stands firmly with the clausal. Eyes sharp, he vows that if this ever happens again, he'll see it through to the end. On a distant throne, a long-haired figure lounges. He's been told to lend a hand. The old lord's face goes grim while Givens reels, choking out a stunned till the end. Up close, the Viscount looks baffled. Why move now? Skeletal shapes loom behind the old noble as a voice protests he shouldn't lend strength to this. Thanks to the miracle the pair worked, his master can act freely, and Lord Len Ashton saved a life. A voice cuts in as boots near, and two girls look up startled. The old lord turns in his coat and asks her, "Earlier, did she just say she was—" A dark-haired face on a pillow, a memory of waking. Two kids in beds, a blonde girl across the room. Life was always lonely. He sits up in a grand canopy bed, blinking at the lavish room. Where is this? A girl is watching him. Then he jolts back with a yelp, finding her in the sheets. She's curled against him, fast asleep, and he stammers her name. Lycia. He's been out cold over a month, ever since they reached Clausel. At his bedside, Edgar tells him to stay and heal up here. That very day, a retrial cleared the family, thanks to him and the saint, with suspicion landing on Givens. A hand near a small vial. The Viscount took a hidden poison and died. Wary, the boy sits up. He died? Suicide? Maybe relatives pushed him, Edgar muses. Or he gave up. And there's more. Someone torched the mansion, burning it all to ash. Smiling, the envoy says a certain great noble lent their power. All thanks to the kid. It was the chief Wolven. Len just stares, asking what he means. The beast's body is a rare medicine, useless if even one organ is missing. His kill had perfect organs, a material so rare it's almost never sold. So Edgar cut a deal with a marquis who wanted it, on one condition: aid in a crisis. Marquis, Len echoes. The medicine saved a daughter, bedridden for years. The man holds out an invitation. The Marquis wants to thank him in person. Card in hand, the boy studies the crest. Sure, he's seen it somewhere. Then it lands like a punch. The final boss's crest. House Ignat. A genius who ran the Empire's shipping, yet sided with the enemy to revive the Demon King and burn Leomel down. For Ignat to turn on the Empire, it took his daughter's death to pull the trigger. But the girl by the window is alive, and no event ever saved her. Is the story bending? A few weeks later, a great fortress against the sky. After the village burned, his parents fled, and word he was safe brought them here. Their home was ash, yet they hauled in whatever survived. Beaming at the bed, his father marvels. A crybaby not long ago, now look at him. A flicker of unease, then a grin. It was nothing. Back to that moment, his bracelet drank magic straight from the stone. What sword manifested then? The inscription's gone, so why react the instant he touched her? On a balcony over the city, Lycia says she's glad his parents are well. She catches him staring. What's wrong? He brushes it off. Smiling, the boy claims he was wondering whether the saint carries a magic stone inside her. That lands like a bomb. How on earth does he know that? He backpedals. Figured everyone joked about it. Sorry. She gasps. Did her father tell him? That's not it, she snaps. Then she goes quiet and flustered. Only the strongest saints carry the stone. Finger to her lips, she begs him to keep it secret. Family and temple priests are the only ones who know. Turning away, he wonders if that demon sword ties into the Seven Heroes disaster. The dragon-jawed blade churns power loose. If it's that strong, maybe. Then doubt. Is it really just to gain a demon sword? Surely not. Gazing over the rooftops, he wonders if it all came down to no other choice. He'd dodged her for so long, set on avoiding that future, and yet here he is, at her side. Holding the sleeping girl close, Len thinks back. Beating the chief Wolven already bent his past off track. Yurku, a mere mid-boss, lies defeated, and the father meant to be dead sits alive behind him. Will the Marquis still turn on the Empire, now his daughter's fate has shifted? Every choice ripples out unseen. Then a hand waves in his face, and Lycia asks why he spaced out. He trails off, mutters he was just wondering about something. Cupping his cheek, she declares he's her hero and no one else's. Sly one, she teases. Sweet words now, after thrashing her to a pulp the day they met. Both hands frame his blushing face, the town spread below. A long hush settles over the clouds and mountains. Far off, in the Imperial Military Academy, a witch-hatted principal lounges in her spired office. Newspapers buzz over the pillar of light above Clausel. Wrath of the god Elfin, or a saint's miracle, no one can say. In a grand library, the principal, one Klonoa Highland, lets out a quiet chuckle. A long-haired woman in a witch's hat gazes off, wishing someone would finally cure her boredom. In the imperial capital, strange deaths piled up, a noble dead of nothing, a guard turning on the prince. Some blamed a god, others a foreign hand. The crowd had it wrong. Slumped on his throne, the head of House Ignat is the man behind it all. driven by pure vengeance. His daughter lay dying and needed one specific cure. That cure was the organs of a chief wolven, but the emperor kept the imperial reserve locked away. So the girl slipped quietly away, and the Marquis came to hate him for it. As things stand now, that grim future likely never comes. Outside a grand mansion, an old butler carries a tray. A blonde attendant muses. Was the boy that remarkable? Out in the garden, even the Lord agrees Len Ashton is worth more than any pile of gold. Calm over his tea, the dark-haired lord admits the kid felt like a mirror. A whole new story begins. Eyes shut, the butler murmurs, "I'm afraid, my lord," then trails off. The emperor withheld the cure for the family's sake, the lord muses, and someone begs him not to say it. Eyes narrowing, he adds that whether he can accept that is another matter. Out in a flower garden, he sits at the tea table, and a voice calls, "Father." Then a dark-haired girl lights up, calling Edgar by name. Thrilled, he's back. She asks how the Clausel trip went. He brushes off her worry, and a servant scrambles after, begging Fiona to wait. The retainer chides her to drop that familiar tone with commoners, then admits the trip was memorable. Their factions differ, but nobles have duties. He meant to visit. Only Baron Lazard Clausel asked them to wait, while she insists on thanking Len, just how her mother raised her. Flustered, Fiona counters, "How about a letter instead?" A fine idea, he allows, but for now they honor the Baron's wish and stay patient. Over the manor, birds drifting past, she concedes he's right. Someday, she vows, she'll find him and thank him herself. Night settles over Clausel, a small figure at a desk. The protagonist studies a glowing pearl, the Salacia pearl, and notices it's drinking in his magic. He recalls the lore. An egg, a shell no blade can scratch, immense power locked inside. Pour in enough magic, the game's book said, and it hatches a dragon sworn to its master. No one ever cracked it. And what sleeps inside once troubled the Demon King with ice and darkness. His fist tightens. A knock. Lucia peeks in, apologizing for the late hour and asking for a moment. The White Saint grins that he's eyeing that jewel again. He explains it's a Chief Wolven drop his parents packed with his clothes, without a single burn on it. A monster that strong inside makes it worth keeping over selling. It can't be destroyed anyway. His body's mending, he adds, so he'll leave after one more spar. She hesitates. How long will he stay? Caught off guard, he just says yes, and she blurts a flustered 1,000. Going red, she recovers. 1,000 more spars, fine. Her father said he can have this room. He does the math. Once a day? That's nearly 3 years. Geez, isn't it fine, she snaps, as he starts to object about the work. Softening, she walks it back. Not 1,000, but could he stay just a little longer? The plea lands, and he's left staring. Her face flushes. Across from her, he glances over, just as red. A soft smile. He tells her he's in her care, and she stammers that they can stay longer. Beyond the daily sparring, they start spending real time together, even shopping side by side. At a shop, she offers to buy him a fine outfit. Flustered, he protests there's no occasion for it. Then one day, a column of Imperial Knights rides through the city. Book in hand, he looks up startled. The Imperial Knights? Here in Clausel? Weiss explains a renowned knight has come to study the princess's sword, and invites him along. Walking the hall, he hears knights pick a style, and the holy sword, founded by the hero Ruin, is the favorite. Such a technique stands in for a skill. Master 1, wield combat skills using magic. He thinks back to the game. Sure, those skills can't fire from mimicking the moves. The veteran admits the holy sword wasn't for him, so he stuck to imperial swordsmanship, the sword of protection, for Lazard. Offered lessons in that style, the kid lights up. Then it hits him. Lycia was the game's holy sword star. It covers attack, defense, and support, and she held the Sword Saint rank, one step below the top. Only 5 swordsmen worldwide reach the top rank, the Sword King, a title fusing every style. Then he asks the mentor about other techniques. One comes up, Gokenji, but it takes rare inborn talent. Gokenji, huh? In the game, it belonged to the Imperial faction's enemies, founded by the Lion King, ancestor of Leomel. Skill and technique are different, he reminds himself. That unique skill once tanked his stats for good, so he'd rather not fight. A grand stone archway, people drifting through the courtyard. The Saintess waves him over, all smiles. Len, come learn together. The kid hangs back beside his old guard. A hand reaches out inviting him in, but he begs off. He only came to watch. The light-haired man smiles. The Saintess says this one has promising talent, and Weiss agrees. Raising a finger, he asks for just a glimpse of that skill. The answer's a flat no. Blade already drawn, he proposes some light sparring instead. Steel rings as the two cross swords. Under the archway, they trade strikes. Knights and the Saintess watching from the edges. Sparks fly, and the boy lunges hard. Pulling back, the man tells him to fight more like himself. No need to mimic their techniques. More like himself? Then it clicks. From his old gaming days, he'd been copying the holy sword forms. Gripping the blade two-handed, he drops the act. Low and fast, he charges in at full speed. He apologizes mid-swing. The man, suddenly serious, never expected this, but now he sees. Force erupts, and the Saintess gapes. When it clears, the kid has the man at sword point. As I thought, he muses, while his partner reels. She threw everything at his defense and couldn't crack it. A light-haired figure in a white coat. Len apologizes for the late introduction and asks his name. Instead of a name, a verdict. Holy sword techniques just don't suit him. What do you mean? Lycia cuts in. Len is plenty strong. He just blinks. Lost. The instructor grants the strength, but it's about fit. His father's training baked in certain habits. An aggressive, fierce style is his nature, and that will always fight the holy sword forms. Better not touch them at all, since mastering combat skills isn't guaranteed anyway. Len just says, I see. In that case, basic sword instruction? The instructor is delighted to guide a promising young man. Afterward, an aide presses him. Why say all that, Commander? Fierceness doesn't bar the holy sword. Because when their blades crossed, he realized the kid has talent for a wholly different swordsmanship. Later, in an elegant bedroom, Len sits at a desk while Lycia perches on the bed. She got grumpy halfway through, he notes, twirling her hair the way she does when she sulks. She asks why he said that, and whether the lesson pleased him. That somewhat was a lie, he admits, but her reaction proves the bad mood. Really? She flusters? A long, mortified silence. It's true, he goes on. The commander flagged it early to save time. She protests. That's calling Len talentless. You know, she mumbles, trailing off. He just smiles. Don't worry. Focus on your own training. From the commander's view, she muses, it seems she's picked up a habit a lot like his. She admits she studied his tactics endlessly, replaying them to find a way to beat him. The flaw is still fixable, she was told, but somewhere she ended up swinging just like him. Hugging her knees, she won't have it corrected. Fixing it feels like calling her whole goal wrong. Then she brightens. There are other styles, no need to cling to the holy sword. But she'll master it eventually anyway, he thinks. She flips it around. If told his father's sword work was useless, could he just agree? He deflects. Only a country knight's son, while a saint learns freely. But she cuts in. They're the same. She owes no one. Her father told her to learn freely and find her own path, and she wants her late mother to see who she becomes. Fixing old habits just wastes time, so why not start fresh with a style that fits? Something settles in him. She isn't just a game character. She's only ever been herself. Don't say that, she murmurs. It suits her, he answers, and he'll go find his own school too. Under a full moon over the castle, a quiet thought drifts up. It's their future, after all. A boot skids to a halt in a misty field, two figures standing out. Then they collide and tumble, one girl yelping. Down in the grass, a dark-haired girl insists she's behind her peers and has to work twice as hard. Her maid begs her to stop. She'd been bedridden so long she couldn't walk at all. Eyes wet, she pleads for a little more, while the maid frets. Leaning on the maid, she vows she'll someday stand on her own and thank him. Her whole body once screamed with pain, the only world she knew. On a hillside, the protagonist gazes over the mountains. Her thought reaches the one who freed her. A lamp glows over an iron gate, and someone watches from a lit window. Catching her breath, the young lady gets a warm, well done, Ojo-sama. From his office, her father praises the whole thing. Well done, Fiona, and she beams, a little embarrassed. He holds out a sealed letter from the Imperial Military Academy. She gasps. Last month's results. Both hands trembling, she opens it and reads. Father, I passed, she cries, and he never doubted she would. Then he turns to the maid. You knew too, right? Both girls just blink. Of course she passed, the maid says. Even sick, she studied from her bed. He waves it off. The only exam that matters is the final one. Right then, Fiona flushes and snaps that she'd been a wreck waiting on it. Leaning close, Edgar reminds her she still hasn't thanked Len, so all that worry was for nothing. I got it, she huffs, and the shot pulls back over a hilltop city. Back with the protagonist, a palm sweeps across a desk. So what does he want to do now? A fair-haired lord lays out the choices. Stay a knight, or live in Clausel until he heads the family. Anything on his mind? The lord adds. Just say it. The boy hesitates, then admits it. He wants his family back, but fears dragging trouble onto them. An old advisor notes Viscount Givens had a strange obsession with him. Turns out Roy asked them too. A noble enemy is hard to shield against, so he wants Len knighted at Clausel. And his answer was simple. He'd respect the boy's choice. My father said that? No rush on the future, the Lord says. Live easy in Clausel until the village is rebuilt. Quietly, he voices the real wish, to fix everything by his own strength, knowing a knight's son can't. The Lord lifts a finger. Not impossible. Just become someone even great nobles can't touch. A tall order, the man admits, but not what he means. And Len figures only marrying into the Imperial line sits higher. On a sunlit battlefield, a great blade stands driven into the earth. The Sword King. Sword King? Lazard nearly chokes on the word. Yeah, the commander says. The 5 strongest swordsmen alive. Some live in the capital, but only by choice. The 5 answer to no nation. Over a field of skulls, he recalls the lore, even the 7 heroes could only challenge a Sword King. Bettering yourself is never a loss, the man offers. He'll cover costs, and the kid can train under Weiss alongside Lycia. Grateful but restless, he says he can't just sit idle. Hand to his chin, the commander mulls it, then asks if there's work like back in the village. Eyes narrowing, the boy wonders if he means hunting monsters. That's right, comes the answer. He wants the local ones investigated before they overrun the area. The job? Check nearby monsters, file reports, cull them when needed. And one more thing, he trails off, the rooftop sprawling below. While he's out of town, he can pick up requests at the Adventurers Guild. Following the directions, the kid stops at a heavy door. He shoves it open, hulking figures looming in the gloom. Inside, a rowdy hall packed with adventurers eating and drinking. Heads turn. Oi, isn't he? And the receptionist hesitates as the boy asks to register. The fee covers reading and writing, she begins. Bent over the form, he says Baron Clausel already cleared it. Flustered, she figures he just seems experienced, then double-checks it's really his first time. A fresh card slides into his palm, G rank, and she launches into the rank-up rules. He cuts her off with a smile. He read all that in a book, fees and records and all. Quest board before him, he scans the notes. So this is the local monster intel. Mostly low ranks here. Even D ranks are scarce in Clausel territory. One worn poster catches his eye, a D rank, and his interest sharpens. Then 2 figures crowd in behind him, mocking the little hero dono for caring. A pale beast man and a dark-haired swordsman tell him he handled that foolish Viscount splendidly. Leaning close with a smirk, the swordsman warns him to leave it alone. The beast man spells it out. Harmless if left be, but provoke it, and the counter hits as hard as its rank. Eyes back on the poster, the protagonist clocks the name, a steel-eating gargoyle. Most gargoyles eat flesh, but rare ones feed on metal, born now and then. Pricey materials and a rich skill level. Killing it could unlock a new demon sword, though he'd clear it with Lazard first. His status surfaces. Summoning at level 3, wood at 2, iron and fief blades ready. After the fight with Yurku, the art climbed a level. Now he can summon 2 demon swords at once, a hare bolt screaming through the tall grass. Right behind charges a bigger beast, an F rank, blade flashing after it. He levels the iron blade and the kill drops at his feet. Then he swaps to the wood blade as another little beast scrambles off. Vines erupt to snare them while he finishes with the metal blade. Pretty convenient, he notes. His status says it all. The wooden sword maxed, the iron one freshly leveled. Sitting cross-legged, he checks the numbers. The wood blade surely isn't capped here. A lot to think about, he muses, wondering if the levels hide conditions. Vines tear up out of nowhere, and 2 stunned men gawk that this is amazing. A braided woman with a ledger stammers, "Is it really all right to buy all of it?" The magic stones are already pulled, he tells her, so go ahead and appraise the rest. Counting his haul, he realizes one day's work brought in 600,000 gold. A shopkeeper greets him warmly, and he recalls stopping here once with the princess. 1 month later, Lycia is reeling. Moving? Where? Why on earth? Keep the room, she insists, but he gently admits he's leaned on her far too much. He's an Ashton in her service, he says, so just point him to the old mansion. She blinks back a baffled what? Walking the great hall, he mentions Lazard has handed him an old mansion to manage. That stops her cold. She thought he was going back to the village. He admits he meant to tell her soon. A maid named Yuno brings a delivery. He thanks her, and Lycia eyes the marked box. Yeah, he says, cradling it with a small grin. Then he flips the lid open while she leans in, uneasy. Inside, wrapped in soft paper, sits a gift. He offers it, if she doesn't mind. Her eyes go huge, a blush rising, and not a word comes out. The bundle slides her way, and she stammers a flustered, "For me?" "Yes," he says, lifting it. "A dress. Bought the day he first earned money." "So cute," she breathes, taking it into her hands. "And if she doesn't like it," he adds, "he'll just get another." A tear brimming. Clutching it to her chest, she says no, she's not giving it back. He watches her, wondering quietly if she liked it. "Sorry," he teases. "Did one gift not buy forgiveness?" "How unfair," she pouts. "That's not it," she protests. Things moved too fast. She hadn't readied her heart. Asleep, the protagonist dreams back into the game he knows. There stands Klonoa Highland, the world's greatest wizard, and beside her, Lycia. In that story, she too fell to Len Ashton. She runs the Imperial Academy, a match for the Sword Kings. How he ever beat her, no idea. He jolts awake and mutters that was a horrible dream. Coffee brewing, he resolves to stay clear of the capital and that academy. Out in the market, the townsfolk greet him, one vendor calling him their little hero. Then he steps into the packed adventurers guild, loud with drinkers and sparring regulars. Scanning the request board, he wonders if anything good's posted. Right then, his stomach growls. Guess breakfast wasn't enough. A hooded girl in the corner giggles. What a cute noise. She waves him over to share her breakfast. He hesitates as she insists it's her treat. No need to be shy. He always brings money out, but seats are scarce, so he takes the spot across from the stranger. Over the hot plate, she pegs him for a regular. No wonder he seems so grown. He shrugs that it comes with age. She laughs that he sounds old for his years, while he clocks her voice is run through some magic tool. Then he asks why she called him over. So, now that they've talked, what does he think? He just blinks a flat, so. Her eyes narrow and he tenses. Then she cracks up, only joking. The knights would arrest her for less. He manages a stiff right. Gesturing at the capital skyline, she invites him to come back with her. I definitely won't, he says flatly, then asks if she's from the capital. She pouts that being shot down stings. She slides coins over to pay, smiling that she only had some business out here. Rising in her cloak, she admits she'd love to talk longer, but it's time to go. She waves goodbye, hoping they meet again. Should the chance come, he answers. Then she lowers the hood, a red-eyed woman, offering to teach him about the strange power he carries. His eyes snap wide as she's already drifting out the door. He bolts into the street. Is she talking about the demon sword summoning? He's never told a soul, but she's gone into the crowd. Then a familiar voice, the bow-slung beastman, asking if he's headed to the eastern forest too. The cat-eared hunter and his grinning partner say the guild sent them to sweep nearby. Since some youngsters mean to push deeper, why not tag along? The swordsman smiles. It isn't really an escort job, just a hand if trouble comes, but he admits the Baron gave him work of his own. Guide me well next time, he adds. He'd love to watch the kid hunt. And Len shrugs it off. Who in the world was that woman, he wonders, on a rocky mountainside now? Eyes sharp, the protagonist swings, his blade tearing the air. Then a huge winged beast lunges, and he stands small beneath it. By the netted catch, he figures on a nice payday, while a clerk reports the inspection going smoothly. Lord Lazard lets him spend his earnings freely. Magic tools, money sent back home. Birds wheel over the trees as he pictures the family liking the gifts. A flock scatters. His face hardens. That voice, just now. Heavy blows hammer a cliff, cracking the stone. Out there, the beastman and the dark swordsman trade strikes with a crouched gray monster. It's too tough, he grunts, while his partner snaps something like, this shouldn't be here. A wounded woman lies between them. The gargoyle barrels in and throws the swordsman back. The blow flares, a shield bearer braces, and the archer cries a name, Midas. Dark energy bursts, and the thing recoils. A scaled gargoyle lashes its tail, knocking an adventurer flat. The beastman reaches out, alarmed, calling for his downed partner. Then the monster lunges. The swordsman leaps in while Midas drags someone clear. Across the open ground, the dragon-like thing rears against the two. It's the steel-eating gargoyle. Len knows that aura at once. He arrives at a run. Everyone all right? The beastman gawks. Mr. Hero? By the postings, the protagonist thinks, this thing shouldn't be anywhere near Clausel. Dead calm, he tells him to evacuate while he stalls the monster. The gargoyle growls, wings spread, and the beastman shakily agrees. Wind and dust whip up as the young swordsman locks in, watching. Then it dives, and he dashes low to meet it. His blade strikes, and bounces. The hide's hard as he figured. Vines explode from the wooden demon sword, snaring the beast. Then the steel-eating gargoyle turns, its stone hide bristling with blades. It lunges, wings flaring. He slips the charge among the rocks, steel ringing. Same D-rank or not, he thinks. This thing's nowhere near the Chief Wolven. Twin swords out, the protagonist meets the rearing beast head-on. He binds it down and drives in. The gargoyle shrieks and reels. Sword sunk in its hide, he freezes. Overhead, a second pair of wings cuts in. The new arrival slams him, and he skids back across the dirt. A second one, already, he realizes, scrambling for footing. Then it unfolds full height, a towering winged horror of living steel. Sword raised between the two, one thought only, two at once. Blade up and snarling, he notes the record said there should only ever be one of these, but now two winged stone gargoyles loom over him, bigger and meaner than the first. A claw catches him and sends him flying. He skids hard as the beast swings, debris scattering. The thing rears with a roar. He weighs whether to run or find another angle. Then his wooden blade whips out, vines lashing the gargoyle and tangling it. It tears free and lunges, wings beating. Darting low, he waves the adventurers off with a quick, sorry, there's they're not getting reached. He drives his blade up into its hide, metal screeching off stone. The monster crashes down, pinned in the rubble. Then it rears back up, nowhere near finished. Light flares as the bracelet glows. He lifts his sword and pours power in. A status blinks, level 1, a new demon sword. The blade erupts in vines and crystal, swallowing the gargoyle whole. Caught inside the growth, the beast thrashes and howls. The winged one slams down, a blast tearing past him. Sword raised, he calls up a dome of light to brace for it. This, he notes, is the demon sword of shields. Behind the barrier, he holds his ground while the gargoyle rages against it. Then he thrusts forward, eyes locked, the shield holding firm. Across the dust-choked cliffs, Midas and the swordsman watch, frozen. A wounded redhead barely takes it in, gasping that it's impossible. The adventurers can only gape at the hero who did this. 2 felled gargoyles sprawl on the ground, and someone chokes out that there were 2. Back in town, a guard asks if Sir Len took them both down himself. He waves it off. The kills belong to the hero, and he wasn't even the one fighting. Midas tells him the guild's been contacted, and the whole reward is his. Through the crowd, he weighs the new blade. Greedy on mana, but easy and effective. The status glows. That gargoyle handed over more growth than Yurku and the Mana Eater combined. Now he figures the rule. Special stone swords only level on stones from their own kind. Battered and quiet, he wonders if he's gotten a little stronger. Back in the city, a voice calls his name across the square, and he turns. Lycia spots the cuts and gasps, asking where he got those wounds. A maid murmurs her name. Relieved none look deep, she gazes out over the moonlit castle. Tending his arm, she asks why, and he admits he figured she'd be mad. She just smiles. So many were saved by his courage. Shouldn't he expect praise instead? He counters that he chose to fight anyway, and she reminds him her father sent him to scout. Still, facing opponents that dangerous, she thought she ought to be angry, but the worry won out. The line lands, his eyes widening, and she offers dinner at the main residence since he hasn't eaten. Then he asks if there's anything he can do to make up for the worry he caused. Brushing it off, she says she's planning to tour a few villages soon, like when she came to his. Glancing back, a faint blush on her cheeks, she asks if he'll come along. Understood, he answers, calm as ever. Over the fortress city, a gloved hand turns a sealed report from the Baldor village knights. Inside, a fair-haired official skims it. Winter's coming colder, so they'll need more firewood. He turns to the man beside him, Weiss, and asks about the steel-eating gargoyle business. Per the guild, the 2 likely flew in hunting food, both thin as anything. Adventurers mined out their underground home, Weiss figures. The Lord recalls mineral prices dropping right then. Arms crossed, the Lord sighs that even a complaint would be impossible to prove. Talk shifts to Len. No gift for the holy sword. Shocking, but he grinds so hard. A blade glows in the dark. Maybe he's built for the strong sword technique. Days later, a caravan rolls across the grasslands. Turns out he rode along on Lycia's village tour. His horse nuzzles him with a snort. The knight calls a rest, and he answers yes. At the stop, Vios says the horse, once Yurku's, has finally accepted him as master. Petting it, he admits he's happy. Maybe it never cared for that elf anyway. So still a child? Yep, and like Weiss's mount, it's monster-blooded, so it'll grow huge. A hand on its neck, Lycia notes such horses stay in their prime and live long. She smiles and tells him to name it properly too. For now, he agrees to stay in Clausel. Right then, a maid asks Sir Len for a moment. The maid beams that Milady was thrilled, and floats the idea that he join the party. Milady's birthday party, she says, and he blinks. Party? He recalls Lady Lycia's birthday lands around summer, so it should be next month. A proper gift then. He promises to sort one once they're back, and thanks her. Over a quiet village, the 3 arrive, and an elder welcomes them before the crowd. Lumber on his shoulder, he hauls crates beside Lycia. A finger traces the map. This village now, that one tomorrow. Night settles. Studying it together, he asks if those are the Baldor Mountains. She says they passed them. Closer than he thought. No danger though, as long as Marquis Ignat stays put. Then the backstory. In the game, the Marquis wanted the Laemel Empire destroyed, using Baldor. That sleepy, low-rank range became a death zone, all from one creature's demon stone. A huge fanged maw fills the dark, the red dragon, Asphal, an ancient dragon that ruled Baldor for centuries, prideful, wielding mana, speaking like a man. Long ago, the 7 heroes put him down, driven mad by the Demon King. Over ages, his body melted away, not a bone left, the remains sinking into a volcano. That volcano stewed, then went dormant. However, deep inside, one thing refused to melt, Asphal's Demon Stone. Every monster there drew power from it, and the Marquis woke it with the Demon King's leftover power. He rages that he gave his homeland everything, got no mercy back, and even lost Fiona. Back now, the protagonist still eyes Baldur warily, even knowing none of it happens. Over the valley, he turns to Sir Weiss. The village river's been dropping for days, he explains, and upstream he found fallen trees damming it. They tried clearing the timber, but it was too heavy, likely toppled by the recent storm. A bearded knight offers to handle it. The boy listens, sack in hand. The knight's only just arrived with plenty to do, he points out. He can manage a few trees. That throws the bearded knight. Weiss frets. Will he really be fine alone? No need to worry, the knight says. This young man is Len Ashton. A little embarrassed, he watches the villagers realize he's the rumored hero and scramble to apologize. Fallen trees dam a misty river, and he murmurs, "So this is the place." For now, he'll clear it from above and leaps onto the pile. Bracing over the massive logs, he steadies himself. A tree bursts apart, and a huge trunk topples toward him. He hauls a whole uprooted tree onto his back and drags it clear. Then he hoists the giant log overhead, and the villagers gasp. The river runs free, but he stands soaked, wringing out his shirt. A hooded figure in white pipes up. She'd have just used nature magic. The voice snaps him around, eyes wide. "Why are you here?" he blurts, spinning toward her. "That's her line," she smirks. He should be back at Clausel, not splashing around. She teases he'll catch a cold. He insists it was unavoidable. Warm light washes over him, and he startles. His shirt's already dry, clothes dried in an instant. She shows off her magic. He just shrugs that it seems useless. Still, in his old game, there was no concept of getting dirty, so cleaning magic is news to him. "So why is she here?" he asks. "For work," comes the reply. Shady get up aside. She swears it's a serious job. He figures she knows how she looks. A twig snaps, his eyes cut sideways, and a snarling pack spills onto the log. The pack charges, but he calmly clocks them as little boars. She drops in beside him, blades out. They likely abandoned ruined feeding grounds after the disaster. Why is he standing in front of her, she fumbles, as he draws his blade to fight. The boars come squealing. She sputters that's not what she meant. "Isn't it obvious?" he says flat. "Because he's shielding her." The whole pack lunges, and the hooded woman freezes, stunned. Blade up, he plants himself between her and the charge. Two beast heads bear down, jaws gaping. Back to back, the two stand ringed in on every side. A massive trunk shatters under the blow. Up close, his profile, calm and focused. A village girl beams. So he really is the hero from the rumors. The hooded woman pops up beside him, teasing she called him cute. When he asks what, she offers to explain only if he comes to the capital. She sighs how unfortunate, as he flatly refuses, then fades away in a wash of light. Drifting off, she admits the work wore her down. But she had fun, and now she has to go. Bounding over snowy peaks, she calls she's headed for the Baldur Mountains, and she'll be back. He reaches out, shouting, "Wait!" but she's already gone. Alone by the cleared river, he just stands there. Deadpan, he notes she vanished again and took the very trees he meant to clear. Who is she, he wonders, recalling her strange magic and odd words, figuring she might be masking her voice. A witch-hatted woman moves far off. Could be her, he thinks, then drops it. No way she'd turn up here. A wagon train rolls toward Clausel, days after the expedition. Inside, a maid says birthday gifts for the young lady are arriving soon, and asks about the old building for storage. Len offers to haul them. He carts two huge barrels stacked sky high, the maid trailing. Right then, a fair-haired girl shoves past the crates and comes barreling in. Beaming, she holds up a slim, dark case. "Found it!" he calls out, and Lycia jolts. "Did you see it?" "See what?" he asks. "Then it's fine," she stammers, "just remembered something," and bolts off clutching the case. Watching her go, he still hasn't sorted out a birthday present. Out in town he weighs it. Clothes last time, so an accessory, though a ring reads too deep. He snaps his fingers. He's got it, just as a white hawk wheels overhead. Its prize is a platinum feather, a rare plume with no real power but a pure silver shine that draws every eye. He picks through a counter of bottles and trinkets, muttering that rare doesn't just lie around. Then a cat-eared voice cuts in. Midas, offering a hand. No wonder it's a headache. A platinum feather, the archer explains, takes pure luck to get. Len takes it in over his tea. A pretty rare material after all. The feathers are tail feathers of powerful white hawks. Once one's beaten, its magic fades and they revert to ordinary plumes. So the only way is the ones that fall naturally, and they take years to grow back. Midas floats riding the capital's trading company, but with under a month left, that's cutting it close. For now, he decides to hunt white hawks himself. She apologizes for being no help. Then she offers better, a spot where a hawk flock crosses the eastern forest before noon, marked on a map. That lights him right up, a really helpful lead. Later, at the capital, a small figure climbs a grand staircase into the city. Back home, a pale, worn-out Lycia welcomes him as he says he's back, but she looks drained. Holy magic training, he asks? She waves it off. Just used too much magic power. She's fine. Flustered, she throws up both hands. Nothing to worry about. A crescent moon, a few last words, and the next day breaks over the hills. Deep in the woods, note in hand, the spot should be near. Then the wooden blade snaps into his grip and cracks into the bark. Perched up in the tree, he decides this spot will do. He'll grow cover with plant magic and erase his scent. Perfect, and no need for bait. Midas marked a tall tree of red berries, the hawk's favorite. The feathers only fall naturally, but he can grab a bird while its magic is calm. Bracelet ready, no need to kill, just knock them out cold. Then the white hawks come gliding down out of the sky. A single eye sharpens through the leaves, fixed and waiting. The flock settles onto the berries and starts feeding. They've arrived. Beaks tearing at the fruit, he recalls his gaming days. Hundreds of these, but only one counts. No leeway here. Once he bags it, he still has to get it processed. The hawks swarm the branches. One big head lifts, eyes gleaming. The prize at last. Eyeing the fat birds, he frets that if this gift falls through, he'll scramble for another, and wishes he'd started sooner. The birds burst into the air. He tracks them, eye narrowed. One huge bird climbs skyward on broad spread wings. Then they settle among heavy grape clusters while he watches from the brush. A few weeks later, sharp in a suit and tie, he never thought these clothes would come in handy. The grand hall glitters, packed wall to wall with nobles. Weiss raises a glass. That dignity suits him, like hero ruin. Len returns the compliment, just as an announcer calls the young lady is entering. The towering doors swing wide. He glances up, caught off guard, as a delicate heel steps onto the floor. A gloved hand reaches to escort her, and the crowd parts across the checkered floor. Then she's revealed, long fair hair flowing, and the whole room breaks into applause. Softly smiling, truly a saintess, Lycia draws every gaze. He just stares, quietly wondering if his little gift could ever measure up. Glasses clink in a toast across the hall. A white-bearded noble walks Len through it. A butler gives first for the servants, the head of the family last. He grins, figuring he hands his over ahead of everyone. No, quite the opposite. The boy goes dead last, his gift fitting in only once her servants have given theirs. Seriously? Yes. The old man teases he never thought he'd see the kid act like a real young man, while the MC's stomach starts to churn. A gloved hand sweeps forward, and the old knight steps up with the rest behind him, a gift from the knights. Lycia lights up as he presents a full training set, from a capital shop that backed him in his royal guard days. Then it's his turn, hand pressed to his chest, nerves kicking in. Boots cross the floor, and a fair-haired noble holds out a box. Happy birthday. She beams a flushed thanks at her father. Then the old man mutters this went past even his expectations, leaving the boy lost on the order. Did Lord Lazard think he had nothing to give? No. The Baron's doing this because he knows the kid does. Deadpan and resigned, he has no clue why his ended up dead last. Hand to his chin, Lazard stares ahead, dead serious. That doesn't help. A dark feather catches the light as a polished shoe steps forward. The princess beams as he wishes her a happy birthday and holds out the box. Both her hands close around the ribboned gift. Then she presses it to her chest, eyes shut, completely moved. Blushing, she swears she'll love whatever it is, as long as it's from him. Untying the ribbon, she insists this is already plenty. Eyes lowered, he says she's gotten gifts enough. Her fingers lift the lid, and light spills out. Across the ballroom floor, the two stand face to face under the chandeliers. She stares into the open box, breath caught. Inside, on a little stand, rests a single, gleaming silver feather. Her eyes go wide, and the whole hall waits. A tear beads up. An old noble gasps, "Is that a platinum feather?" And Len finally catches on. Then she lights up, near tears, saying she might just die of happiness. A soft smile creeps over his face. He's glad. She clutches the feather, swearing never to give it back. He half jokes that since he doesn't want her dead, maybe he should have brought something else. A whole banquet is unveiled, roast bird and all. The staff invite everyone to dig in, while a stunned guest asks where he found a platinum feather, rare even across the capital. He brushes it off as dumb luck, found in the forest. The truth is something else. In flashback, hawks scatter as he dives in blade first. It took plenty of tries. Right then, she tugs at him with a cheery, "Hey, hey," and jabs a finger toward the crowd. Leaning close, cheeks faintly pink, the princess asks if he can spare her some time after this. A grandfather clock ticks, and the MC blinks out a baffled, "Huh." Later, outside the mansion at night, she waits in her cloak, the feather tucked in her hair. Box in hand, he goes quiet as she murmurs that this birthday feels like a dream. She holds the case out across the moonlit balcony. This is. Beaming, Lycia says she picked it because it suited him most, and it took her a while. She knows the box in her hands. Across from her, he just blinks at his own. It suited me? Cheeks pink, she tells him to stop stalling and open it. The lid lifts on an ornate short sword. She figures it can replace the one she lent him. He admits he lost that blade in the fighting. Turning it over, he notices the metal isn't really metal. It's a magic tool that holds power. Yes, she says, she poured all her own magic into it, so it works like her holy power. Day after day, she filled it, hoping it would help him someday. The words land and his eyes go quiet. Then it clicks. The hidden case, the magic she kept feeding the blade. So that's why she looks so worn out lately. He lifts the glowing sword. She'd been pouring power in right up until today. Gripping the leaf-carved hilt, the boy thanks her, honestly happy. She ducks her head, flushed, and he frowns. Why give him a gift on her own birthday? Eyes shut, beaming, she says she wanted to celebrate his birthday too. Last time Yurku ruined everything, she adds, and his real one's in spring, but she couldn't wait a year. He blinks. Lost. Hands clasped, she admits she just felt she had to give it today. Cheeks burning, she snaps why he's laughing, and he grins back an apology. Looks like they both did their best for today, he thinks. Quiet now, she gazes out over the night capital. Surprisingly, she murmurs, the two of them are pretty alike. Side by side at the railing, they turn to face each other above the sleeping city. In the future? He asks, caught off guard. Then he sees the tears. Wait, why is she crying? What did she just say? Wiping her eyes, she says it's because he always insisted he was going home. Small against the starry mountain, she chirps that it's a secret. Finger to her lips, the princess smiles and says she'll just take his word for it. Months after Lucia's birthday, snow falls over Yubaheim, a city far from Clausel. Outside Marquis Ignat's residence stands one hooded guest. The young gate guard asks, ever so politely, whether she has an appointment. She tugs the hood back, pale hair spilling loose, murmurs a sorry, then covers up again. He stammers an apology for not knowing her, and a witch's hat floats up on her magic. Settling it on her head, she notes she's the one who chooses to hide, and steps inside. A butler swings the tall doors open, and beyond them the Marquis waits at his desk. That's Marquis Ulysses Ignat himself, who just smiles and admits he's surprised. The hood comes off for good. Klonoa Highland, the world's greatest wizard and academy headmaster. She apologizes for dropping by unannounced. He tells her she's welcome anytime. She asks if Edgar can sit in too. The Marquis agrees, sending for tea and sweets. The steward bows out and is told to have the others wait at the table instead. Seated, the Marquis asks what he owes the pleasure, having heard she'd left the capital suddenly. Sipping her tea, she teases the reasons a secret. So how can he help her today? Smiling warm, she says she just wants to hear about Len's story. His eyes narrow as he asks why, while she tilts her head, lost. Still smiling, he presses on. Why has she been digging into Len Ashton? She admits she owes the boy a great deal, and the Ashton and Clausel families both. A dark-haired man in a suit cuts in, calling her Lady Klonoa. The Clausels saved his sick Fiona. So he can't rest easy, he explains, until he knows why she's so curious. Tense profiles, a swirling cup. Then she grins and waves it off. No need to be wary. She insists she's planning nothing. Being shielded by the boy simply felt warm, like with her dad. Satisfied, he turns and asks Edgar to walk her through what happened. A simple yes. Delighted, she gushes the boy's cute, strong, and clever as they move to a drawing room. An old steward bows in, regretting he could never quite describe Sir Len to Lady Fiona. She only wonders why. Back then the kid was covered head to toe in wounds. Over the wide palace, the steward calls for Lady Klonoa as she springs from her seat. Then the dark-haired girl meets her, walking on her own now. Rehab was rough, but it made her happy. The Marquis's daughter Fiona beams. She grew stronger every day, so it was never a problem. Glad to see her father and Klonoa, she asks what brings the visitor. Checking on the girl, of course. She offers to look the girl over again, like last time. Fine by her too. Eyes closed, hands clasped. The girl sits still while the principal reads her faint magic. She'll be fine without medicine now, the woman smiles. Her body's growing right, no relapse. One finger taps a pendant, but never take off the necklace I gave you. An academy uniform waits on a stand. Has she tried on the academy's outfit yet? Small adjustments were needed, Fiona admits. Though it's early with the final exam still ahead. With a wink, Klonoa tells her she looks great in it, just like she always thought. Huh, why? The woman blinks. The girl confesses she still can't picture herself as a student. She'd stayed shut in her room right up until this past summer, she says quietly. She made it to the capital, but watching her future classmates, she wonders if she'll find friends. Uneasy in the crowded street, maybe she was just overwhelmed by the bustle. It'll be all right, the principal says softly. She knows Fiona's a good girl. By the dressed mannequin, the hatted woman repeats it, while the girl flushes at the sight. Then she steers her toward a tall mirror, telling her to picture it. She presses the image close. The girl, in uniform. eating, laughing, living free with friends. No rule says they can't take this little detour. Just imagine yourself having fun, Fiona. Nothing to be scared of anymore. A polished shoe steps forward, skirt and stockings in motion, as the daydream pulls her in. In her mind, she's already there, dark hair sweeping, the braided cord at her collar. Then a grand Capitol Plaza opens up, uniformed students crossing the square. And there, hair streaming in the light, she meets a dark-haired cadet face to face. Cheeks in her hands, Fiona snaps out of it with a strangled yelp. Head buried, she begs them to ignore her. Stammering, "It's nothing." The woman just asks what's wrong. The truth spills out. She's mortified she pictured herself beside someone she's never even met. Later, outside the mansion gone fully dark, the woman notes she should head back soon. Then, almost an afterthought, she mentions she actually went to the Baldur Mountains. Over snowy peaks, she explains the planned exam venue fell through, with Baldur floated as backup. Curious, he asks what for. The cliffs are too steep, and the cold's brutal this year. Boots in the snow, she wishes she'd asked for a recommendation letter sooner, sparing Fiona both exams. She waves it off. She'd poured everything into curing the girl's illness right up to this spring. He asks if telling him all this was really all right. Those were just failed candidate sites anyway. At the gate, she mentions she's leaving Layamel at year's end. Glad she saw Fiona first. Where's she headed? Eyes shut, she says the Holy Land. For a whole year. They're rebuilding the Silver Saint Palace, home to every temple in the world. He's stunned she accepted. Meanwhile, the board runs the school. Envoys will come for the seals on the holy relics, he notes. She should take this chance to spread her wings, he tells her. Probably right, she allows. A glance at her pocket watch, and she startles. She'll miss the magic ship. Beaming, she begs him to tell Fiona she's cheering Len on for the final exam. He sees her off. Take care, and she's always welcome back in Layamel. An ornate magic ship drifts across the full moon. Over the capital, a woman notes he got the letter and wishes him good morning. Letter in hand, Len reads it. A job at the manor, escorting merchants under Sir Kai. A fair-haired woman leans on the counter, the one he mentioned, and calls him Mr. Hero. Two familiar faces stand nearby, Midas, the catfolk archer, and his grinning swordsman partner. She forgot to introduce herself. The partner is Sir Kai, and he names Midas. A map spreads out. A government-sanctioned trading company, with a noble house behind the request. That company's cozy with the hero faction too, so the job is guarding their messenger. Kai pitches it. The round trip runs a month, and he wants the Mr. Hero on it. A month, huh? He mulls it over. Quite a while. The route crosses the Baldur Mountains, she says, and offers him just the one-way leg. Before the mountains, they barely need the hands. Inside, the roads roughen and monsters swarm. Privately, he reads it darker. A hidden map, steel-eating gargoyles, and loot to spare. Turning the pattern bracelet over, he admits he can't say he doesn't want to go. Still, the crossing shouldn't even be needed this season, and the snow's coming heavy. Hand behind his head, the swordsman agrees the merchants are stubborn but set on leaving now. Edgar lays it out. Miss this slot and they wait years. Sanctioned status on the line. The swordsman calls it sweet. Deliver them safe, and the bonus more than doubles the rate. So, still hesitant? The MC just stares. Hand to his chest, he politely passes. A month away clashes with other work. Figured as much. The swordsman groans onto the table. Edgar smiles, saying he saw it coming. Bad news, too. Midas is out. He'd wanted trustworthy company. Can't be helped, Edgar shrugs. He took a separate request, so splitting off isn't strange. Wait, you're not coming either? Grinning, the older man waves it off. 2 weeks free. Plenty of time to round someone up. The swordsman insists it's fine. Beer's on him, while Edgar bows an apology. Smiling in profile, the MC begs off the beer. Still a kid. Make his a juice. Snow drifts over a sprawling stone city, airships hanging above. Far from the imperial capital, a magic ship sits docked. Behind a frosted lattice, young cadets gather for the Academy's special class final exam. 2 cadets share a quiet moment, one leaning close. On the bridge, the crew reports. Every post set, furnace checked, all cadets aboard. Show me where we're headed, the captain orders, and calls it time to sail. Studying the glowing chart, he asks if it's correct. A crewman stammers, it should be. Then a pale-haired cadet jumps in. Craftsmen, survivors, even the director have all confirmed it. She's checked it again and again, she insists. Only a place like this can truly test them. Show me the report, he says. She yelps a yes. He skims it. The site stayed secret so nobles and commoners could compete fairly. The board already signed off, she points out, and he relents quietly. With a low hum, the airship lifts into the falling snow. At an ornate window, a dark-haired girl watches it climb. The ship sails over the domed palace toward its destination, the Baldur Mountains. Between drills, he studies hard, a knight and 2 girls at his side. A pot bubbles over the hearth, a maid waits on him, someone climbs into town. Sunlight through the window as he and Lycia write side by side. A maid sets down a tray of scrolls, reports from the knights running the villages. Supplies are fine, she says, but heavy snow has done real damage. The young lord reads on. The villages want more knights, roads blocked, old houses crushed. Pick the knights right away? Yeah, or the people suffer. He offers to pitch in too. Back home, he used to patch up wrecked houses, one figure in the vast wreckage.
He wanted to contribute, like last time, and the Lord gratefully leaves it to him. Over the hilltop castle city, Len soon gets picked for the expedition, but at sundown, everything changes. An emergency smoke signal, rising from a fortress in the Baldur Mountains. Are people actually in trouble out there? Yeah, the Baron says. Adventurers shelter in that old fortress and signal for help. A wax-sealed envelope slides over. Another nomination request he'd been weighing whether to hand off. This time, the one asking is Midas, and it matches the last request word for word, which means the real one in trouble is, his eyes narrow, that adventurer. He knows the place. Old, low on supplies, and the trapped ones freeze once the heat runs out. Exactly why he warned them off going. He turns to Lazard. One of the stranded is an acquaintance. Before Kai left, the swordsman tied the request to a merchant in the hero's faction. The hero's faction, the Baron echoes, uneasy. Len owns the slip, then lays it out. Payback for the spring, and refusing help is the worst look. Same result either way, Lazard admits. The night's already right out, but rumors have hit every snow-battered village near Baldur. The point is keeping Clausel clear of another mess, town and villages both. Then, eyeing the Baron, he asks to join the group bound for Baldur. He calls it a little detour, but Lazard already owes him too much to lean on him again. Protecting Clausel matters to him too, the place where he belongs, with Lycia and the townsfolk here. The Lord finally relents. All right, he's counting on him. He may ride with the knights, but not touch that nomination request. Take it as an adventurer, Lazard warns, and you're bound to escort them past the range, in a brutal winter. Rescue only, nothing more. Under open sky, the boy thanks him for the worry. Later, at camp, knights load the horses while he and Lycia gear up. A noble girl in her finest, snow drifting, stands quietly ready. Right then she calls out, startling him, and tells him to hold out his hand. She takes it, golden light blooming around their fingers, a blessing spun into his palm. Is this sacred magic, he wonders, as power floods in. Blushing, she calls it just a buff to keep him safe. It lasts a few hours, but easing his load is enough. He smiles and thanks her. Now he feels he can give it his all. She wanted to come, but her father refused. No fight where a saintess helps much, he told her. The protagonist reassures her, and he'll cover her share of the work. That's exactly why she's carrying that sword. Gripping the ornate hilt, he tells her not to worry. She gives a quiet, yeah, then turns away. Then she looks back. In that case, one promise. With a bright smile, she makes him swear it. Never push himself too hard. Len leads the rescue column, Clausel Knights and the cat-eared Midas strung out behind. That night they camp. A fire crackling under a thin crescent moon. The blizzard swallows the valley. They stock up in a village, then roll out through the snowbound streets. He rests with the knights and tends his horse, a frozen keep far off. The white wall of the Baldur Mountains rises ahead. Then the column climbs single file up the buried pass. He throws an arm against the gale. A bearded knight calls it the blizzard they were warned about. Midas shouts back over the wind. The path's buried deeper than they thought. Whole stands of trees gone under. No way through. Melting the snow with magic could just trigger an avalanche. A knight points out it's already sunset and suggests a base first. The protagonist goes quiet. They can't force this tonight. Better to move at dawn. Past the dark peaks, a thin column of smoke still rises. His gaze locks on. The signal means they're alive, but in what shape up there? Breath misting, he turns it over. A party with that many seasoned hands shouldn't have hit trouble. The bearded knight figures something struck them. Maybe wounded teammates pinning the rest down. A glowing orb caged in metal hums beside them, a magic tool throwing off heat. The commander lays out the plan. Travel light, leave the hauling to Midas's crew, 2 or 3 days to the fort. Then Midas and a cheerful blonde adventurer pipe up. Rather post near the hero than some grumpy old man. The knight grumbles back. Out into the storm, a roped line scaling the ice, the heater swinging among them. Come night, he sips something hot at a cave mouth, the line threading frozen trees below. They push on and cross a rope bridge over a frozen gorge. On the planks, the blonde mentions a dormant volcano under the range, where magma once ran. He already knew it. In the legend, Asphalt left the canyon choked with miasma and lava. Light breaks over the snowfield. She tips her head up. A call to wait stops the line cold. Up front, Len snaps alert, eyes sharp. Ears pricked, Midas calls it. A monster. His gaze narrowing on the smoke ahead. Then the fort rises into view, swarmed by flying monsters. It's under attack. A monster swarm tears across the snow. A hammer-swinging white brute, snarling apes, prowling tigers. Up on the ridge, armed fighters watch, and Midas chokes out, there are way too many. The horde stampedes the fortress. One shouts to hurry, another doubts inside is safe. Fire blooms along the walls as dark-haired figures watch it burn from cover. Out on the field, robed mages loose glowing rings of flame to hold the swarm. A pillar of fire roars up. Above, a mage hurls another blast as a small swordsman drops low and charges in. A bearded knight buries his axe in an ape. The defenders marvel at the magic. Beside them, a braided knight with a unicorn-crested shield bellows to focus on the rescue. Near the burning walls, Midas keeps her guard up,
baffled at the newcomers. She springs in, calling out to cooperate, but a voice warns nobody knows the situation. Watching a kid her own age tear into the swarm, she wonders why children are fighting. Then it clicks. A blonde girl, a dark-haired swordsman, all frighteningly strong? Magic is nothing without the skill to wield it. He wonders just what these things even are. Beyond him, the fortress is swarmed, winged beasts and apes tearing at the walls. The pack barrels in, reptilian jaws snapping at him. Bracer glowing, he thrusts a hand through the snow and calls one up. Crystal light erupts as the blade answers. He swings it loose, and a shockwave of light blasts everything back. The winged monsters get ripped apart mid-flight. Beasts scatter from the blast, and a defender roars in shock. A massive tiger beastman braces atop the rampart, the garrison reeling below. Len stays calm while a girl below stares up, awestruck. Drawing his blade, the beastman lunges into the monsters. The dark-haired cadet whirls toward him, eyes wide, choking on the words. Blade out against the beast, he tells her he's with the rescue party. Hooded against the cold, his eyes snap sharp. The girl watches him wade into dragon-jawed monsters closing from every side. Dark hair whipping, she holds her ground as the beasts screech around her. The swarm all but swallows her small frame. Cutting through the pack, he thinks her magic is something else, and she figures his swordsmanship is on another level entirely. Right then, a hulking beast charges the survivors behind them. Back to back, the two hold the line. When the dust settles, the field is carpeted with slain monsters, cloaked knights among them. Sinking to her knees, she breathes that it's finally over. He reaches out a hand, asks if she's all right. She stammers an apology. First time fighting this many, she admits. The moment it ended, her strength just drained. She thanks him, and he pulls her up, brushing it off. Don't think too much about it. A voice scoffs at the pendant on her throat. Why wear that so-called exorcism necklace? Midas, still cat-eared and grinning, tells Len it's great he came through fine too. Then he nods at the long-haired girl. Heard she'd been acting as the kid's leader. Sorry to ask now, the archer says, but why would young kids like them come somewhere this dangerous? The girl hesitates, then turns it around. These people are from the Clausel family, right? Yes, the bearded knight confirms. Here on the head's orders to rescue the stranded, and she breathes a relief. Sword planted in the snow, Len watches the knight ask her name. She apologizes for the delay. He looks on quietly while she gathers her skirt and dips into a careful curtsy. Hand to her chest, she finally gives it. Her name is Fiona, only daughter of Ulysses Ignat, Lord of Ubeheim. And Len's eye goes wide, the name landing like a hammer. The dark-haired cadet says it plainly. Her name is Fiona. She's the only daughter of Marquis Ulysses Ignat, Lord of Ubeheim, hunched there on his throne. Among the rubble she faces him. He turns away, blade still in the stone. A cat-eared man steps up, Midas, running the rescue, and asks what kids are doing in the Baldur Mountains. Examinees, she tells him, hold up in this fort for days. This is the exam site, and that snaps him upright. Examinees? Here? Out over the frozen peaks sits the Academy's special class final exam. The rescuers trade looks. Midas figured they were Academy elite all along. He begs their pardon, never could talk to nobles, while a burly man laughs and warns him to mind his manners. For a country adventurer, examinees are people to fear. One took a noble's job once, got blamed, and means to pass this time. Both groups size each other up. A parent's reward would be nice, but tangling with nobles never ends well. So it's a promise not to involve each other, Midas says, though they'll guide the cadets down. Then let's do that, she agrees softly. But a special class exam, he presses, means they came ready for the snow? Len watches, the question landing. A fair-haired instructor praises them. The Academy is the Empire's finest, and only a select few make the special class. A week now since they chose to escape the mountain, Fiona notes, and the strain is wearing them down. For some reason, monsters swarm in unusual numbers, draining far more than they should. A bearded man figures the things gathered at the fort. The instructor warns they may be targeted on purpose. She eyes the snowbound walls. That would only mean this final exam is harder than the last. The girl recalls the rules. The Academy picks the site, you run a set course, an examiner grades you. Here, none of that holds, and it should be impossible. A blizzard that strands even seasoned adventurers buries the peaks, and no examiner has shown. Isn't this the kind of setup where someone powerful wipes them out? The man tells her she's noticed. Beside two other cadet girls, she hears it. Foreign nobles are among the examinees, and tangling with them spells real trouble. They know it's rude, he admits, but they look out for themselves too. So the mood shifted. He mentions they're also hunting their comrades, and she points. Those two are right in there. Still, she pauses. They only sheltered here in peace because others got there first. Inside, refugees rest along the dim wooden hall. Across the fortress, survivors lie out cold, barely breathing. A blond man thrashes in a fever. The woman beside him gasps his name. Companions pin him down, one shouting to get a grip, another checking on him. Len asks how this happened. She admits they don't know, and no one can even walk. A Clausel knight steps up. They rode the smoke signal, and if the survivors are like this, the smoke must mean... Quietly, she confirms it. They raised the smoke. An examinee with some healing tends the sick. The magic inside their bodies has swelled wrong. The same as a vessel fracture, magic vessels shattering from within. Len knows it strikes mage children born with too much power. The knight wonders why grown adventurers would have it, but she has no answer. Normally, the more magic you're born with, the faster it kills you, yet here the symptoms are settling. The healer figures they'll recover in time, unlike any normal case. The Clausal Knights agree to assess things, then plan getting everyone off the mountain. Eyes lowered, Fiona murmurs she's leaning on Clausal yet again. The blonde knight waves it off. He'll bill Clausal for a reward later. Better find somewhere to bed down. 2 cadets size him up. Leave the heavy lifting to the men, the elf-eared archer decides. Then they crowd in. Go pick a room together, the pale one purrs. He tells them to drop the strange talk, given the situation, and she melts anyway. The pair giggle at how cold he is. He just exhales and keeps moving. Across the way, Fiona waits, hands clasped, flushed. A nervous start, then nothing. She stalls while he waits her out. She insists she watched properly. He notes those two don't serve him or anything. A stiff yes from her, a stiffer that's good from him. Right then, a fur-collared blonde bursts in. Lady Ignat, she needs a word. Could the two of them talk alone? The newcomer asks. He bows out, excusing himself, but she calls after him. Mr. Adventurer, and he turns. She just wanted to thank him for the rescue. By his clothes, she takes him for an adventurer. Happy to help, he says. And so he missed his chance to say who he really is. Debris still hangs frozen in the dark sky as 3 of them talk it over in the stone hall. A blonde knight figures the examinees feel uneasy taking help, like it breaks the rules. The cadets call it strange. Special class exams are sealed, so no outsider can interfere, by the ruler's own warning. But the protagonist notes coldly, it was never sealed. Fiona adds the worst part. The adventurers were already here before it began, far too neat to be chance. A knight asks if he means a third party. He does. Could it be the royals, one wonders? While another warns plenty of nobles could pull this off, but they rule each out. Blaming the crown is dumb with Lady Ignat present, the marquis too costly to cross, hero faction aside. The headmaster, he murmurs, and the others recall Leomel's headmaster left the country lately, so a slip is possible. 2 fair-haired knights settle it. Drag any examinee still refusing help down the mountain, or it troubles their lord later. Some are hurt too badly to move for days, so reinforcements look like the call. Len asks how the wounded are treated. The answer comes, through the skill Lady Ignat carries. Sipping his drink, he wonders what skill that is, while the others grin Sir Rin must be stunned to find her here. She could finally meet the one who saved her, he thinks, and he blew his chance. Cup in hand, he mulls it over. She still pegs him as some adventurer. Now may not be the time. An adventurer suggests saving the talk for after they're down. Another agrees on the pact for now. Fiona watches him, uncertain, and he agrees to hold off. A dim fortress corridor, and below it he keeps watch at the wounded swordsman's bedside. Then he lifts a little lantern, puzzling over how the magic tool even lights. It's the one Lycia gave him. She'd promised a note in his bag to explain it. A glance at the note, a tap on the lantern, and the flame catches. Found it. He tilts it to the light. Faint writing bleeds through. Going silent, he wonders if it was added later, traced without any ink. Back home, Lycia bent over a lamp, secretly scratching out a message. Take too long, and she'll come fetch him. A soft smile, and his answer, Roger that. Far away, she stands alone on a starlit balcony. Back in Clausel, the princess leans at a night window. The cool wind feels great, and the maid warns she'll catch cold. On the balcony, Yuno asks if she's worried about Sir Ren. She'd be lying to say no, Lycia admits, but not as worried as everyone thinks. Out of everyone in this world, she knows best how strong he really is. The maid laughs it off, says she sees, then offers tea before bed. Lycia takes her up on it. Inside, a folded white dress lies waiting on the bed. Spotting it, Yuno teases, "Why is that dress out so late?" Clutching it close, the princess goes red and insists there's no deep meaning to it. The maid remembers it, a gift from Len last summer. In memory, the girl hugs the dress to her chest. So she'd been lonely after all, the maid thinks. Lycia startles. Face in the cloth, she begs her to keep it secret. Yes, the maid says with a warm smile. Snow drifting over the walls, someone tells him the survivors are saved, all thanks to him. A scaled-faced adventurer warns Midas to wait for reinforcements, but the archer insists on heading down first. The group waves it off. Don't worry, and don't push Midas, since Kai's in bad shape too. Midas says he'll ride for help and rush back, leaving the examinees to them. The scaled man scoffs at ditching a partner. A long, silent stare, and Len just stands among them as the snow keeps falling. Then a massive tusked boar monster roars and charges, and he draws his blade. One leap, one cut, and the head drops into the snow. The others gawk. That's a month of food. Amazing work. Bound in vines, the carcass gets hauled off. He thanks them, and they take over the butchering. Later, washed up under running water, his mind drifts. Sighing in a torchlit corridor, he rakes back his hair. Then a boot steps toward the corner. Right then, a dark-haired girl rounds it and slams into him with a yelp. Flustered, Fiona covers her mouth and blurts a frantic apology. She insists she's the one at fault. He waves it off. Both of them fumble, stammering through an awkward, dead-air silence. She apologizes for asking so suddenly. He gestures for her to go first. Blushing, Fiona explains her savior is in Clausel, and she heard the adventurer hails from there too. Wait, what? She'd thought of asking the knights, she adds, but everyone seemed too busy. Then comes the kicker. Her savior feels about his age too. The protagonist goes quiet, a long pause stretching between them. Laughing it off, she begs him to forget it all. They did promise not to pry. She keeps apologizing, calling it a broken promise. He starts to say he really doesn't mind. Head down, Fiona murmurs a defeated, well then, and he falters into a feeble no. And once again, staring at her downcast face, he just can't bring himself to tell her. A dark-haired girl sleeps in the fortress bed, while heavy snow buries the walls outside. In the dream, a polished shoe steps near her, and the bright capital spreads out below. Walking the sunny streets beside a dark-haired young man, she remarks, "It sure is hot today." He smiles faintly and agrees. The heat makes him want to stop somewhere on the way back, he adds. Her eye snaps open. Then she bolts upright in the cold stone room, the dream already gone. Hand to her chest, Fiona wonders why she dreamed of the adventurer, flustered, blushing. Two cadets watch a sentry through a round window. She hauls a basin past the guards. Cadets eat by the fire. She kneels to tend the wounded Sir Kai. Up on the battlements, a soldier tells Sir Rin it's time for the shift change. Understood. Lantern in hand, the protagonist heads down the stairs, wanting something warm before sleep. Then he stops short, his profile going sharp. Someone's there. In the kitchen, Fiona freezes when she finds him standing there. He offers a calm, good evening, and she startles, stammering one back. Still wary, the girl keeps eyeing him while he stays perfectly composed. To herself, it really is the man from her dream. Then he asks, puzzled, if something's wrong. She laughs it off, insisting it's nothing, just something she got curious about. Then she offers to make him tea, and he gladly accepts. Water heats in the pot over the flame. She works the stove while the protagonist waits nearby, arms folded. Humming softly, she fixes the tea as the two stand quiet together. Eyeing a jar of leaves, she murmurs there are far more kinds than she expected. Both reach for the same high shelf at once, and she yanks her hand back. Right then, their hands land on the same jar. She goes still at the touch, cheeks burning. Jar in hand, he apologizes. She fumbles that she only wanted a look. Blushing, the young noble asks if it's all right, and he offers to use some of these too. A pinch of leaves into a cup, an hourglass tipped, hot water poured through a strainer. Kneeling by the hearth, they let it steep, the brew swirling dark. He lifts his cup. Across from him, she sips with her eyes closed. Then she lights up. It's delicious. Surprised, he asks if she really brewed it, never guessing she'd outdo him at tea. Cradling the cup, she admits she still has a ways to go. Behind the rim, Fiona confesses she used to be a tad too clumsy. Her medicine had to be steeped into tea, so she taught herself to make it. No matter how often she tried, though, it never came out right. He smiles it off. Brewing's tricky, then asks, but this was for her medicine. She nods. The medicine worked better as tea. And it lands. So monster materials work differently as medicine. Sipping, the young noble admits even she could never quite figure out why. But brewed into tea, she says, it dulls some of the bitterness. He agrees. With a soft laugh, Fiona owns it. He was right. It went down easier. She cradles the cup, smiling warmer than she means to. Then a signal fire roars over the snowbound fortress in the dark. How strange, she thinks, drifting a corridor alone. Why was he so easy to talk to? The memory comes back, him grinning over the tea, saying materials must be prepared differently, and it lands like a cold drop. She never once told him her cure was made of monster materials. She pictures it, a small boy beside a felled beast, its materials hauled off by cart. An attendant calls it late, urging Lady Ignat to retire. She stammers a shaky, okay. Could that adventurer really be the one? Too much lines up to call it coincidence. Boots stopping in the gloom, she barely hears a fair-haired cadet ask if something's wrong. Then she turns, hesitant, and braces herself. May she ask him just one question? Boots crunch up a snowy slope toward the fortress. The keep perches on the white mountain, snow drifting down. A cloaked party throws up an arm at the gate. They're back, with reinforcements. The courtyard fills with crates. The merchants are nearly healed. Everyone's told to rest before the descent. Watching from the crowd, Len quietly asks where Midas went. Vanished, someone says. Left a note and slipped off. A cat-eared knight barely manages a startled gasp. The note said Kai still wasn't recovering. They'd gone down together, and grumbles rise that it was irresponsible. He figures Midas is fine as long as his partner is. A helmeted guard mutters they've no sense of duty. Then a scaled, pointed-eared fighter steps up. He'll see them through, still owing Len for the gargoyles. Off to one side stands Fiona, dark hair loose, Cadets and merchants gathered close. Hammer on his shoulder, he tells the examinees to pack light. A fair cadet notes everyone's here. Right then, that cadet flinches. A warm wind just brushed past. He shrugs it off. Len catches it too. Inside, the talk is hopeful, but more monsters mass on the snow, and it's not just beasts pinning them. Under her fur hood, Fiona wonders if they'll fail. They've stayed up here far too long. A long line of cadets and refugees treks the white ridge. Not an examiner in sight. Len and the others stop short. A hanging bridge, an old rope span creaking over the gorge. The frail bridge spans the chasm, swaying and groaning. Grip the ropes or each other's clothes and move, the guide tells them. Sir Ren bristles. Who do they think he is? The bearded man backs him. No need for that. Of course it isn't, he snaps. The guide turns away, dry. Surely no bridge scares special class examinees. Eyes hardening, he strides out onto the swaying span first. A hammer-bearing man at the rail grunts for him to come on. The kid walks the boards in silence. Then the beast man warns it'll be trouble if he falls. Rattled, he mutters that he knows. Not really. The bearded one agrees. Fiona suggests guiding the other kids over, and the line files onto the bridge. She startles at the touch, then falls in beside the bearded captain with the descending party. Out over the roped span they go, packs on their backs, hands locked to the rail. Down in the snowfield, he waits with her and another girl while the rest spread out. His pale-haired companion muses the knight should escort Lady Ignat instead of him. He agrees easily, and the fur-hooded girl pipes up, asking if he would. Snow between them, the two just look at each other. She asks it straight. Would the adventurer lend her his hand? Cheeks coloring, she admits she'd meant to ask him from the start. A stunned look crosses his face. Really? Far below, tiny figures inch across the bridge. Her small hand closes tight around his sleeve. High on the span, she clings to his arm. He turns. Something wrong? Sorry, she says. He looked more scared than she expected, and she's fine with him guarding her. Also, back then, she muses, she lived simply, never sure she'd wake the next day. Compared to that, she smiles, nothing scares her now. Then good, he grins, and a low rumble rolls across the fortress. He catches that warm wind again, and the beast man on the bridge snaps alert at a dark blur. Hot air, both realize, and a swirling vortex of heat rises off the mountain. A massive, dark hole yawns open in the churning sky, the two of them tiny beside it. The protagonist and his companion just stare, frozen. Something's coming up from below. Run, he yells, and they bolt across the swaying bridge. The rumble swells. The tiger beastman freezes, and across the way, a knight and Fiona go stiff. Then light erupts, flames roaring up the structure, and the pair cry out, "Fire!" A monstrous spiral of fire swallows the sky over Baldur. Staring up at the towering inferno, both of them lost. What is this? A pillar of flame erupts and swallows the whole rope bridge. They scramble across as someone shouts, "This is no normal fire! Just cross!" Panicking, they snap at each other to stop asking and run. Some cadets still wonder if it's the exam. Len and Fiona know it's worse. A mage girl hurls ice at the wall of fire. The frost barely slows it, and the firestorm tears the span apart. Len grits his teeth, eyes locked, reading it. Flames roar down both sides of the swaying bridge. The shockwave throws Fiona off her feet, planks scattering. He reaches through the storm, demanding what this fire even is. Then he lunges and catches her, and something clicks behind his eyes. It's hunting her, he realizes. The fire coils straight toward Fiona. A wall of fire rips across, and a strangled cry tears loose. Cloak snapping, the swordsman braces as the firestorm spirals in. Then Fiona reaches out, panicked, and he yells for her hand. Two hands stretch across the gap, fingers almost touching, but the blast catches her first and sends her tumbling. Hurled through the flames, she misses his grasp by inches. A netted bundle of cargo spins past in the inferno. Right then, he summons the demon sword of shields, a dome blooming around them. Pulling her close, he promises to get her home safe. The shield holds as the firestorm hammers it. The bridge above comes apart. Its ropes snap, and a screaming refugee is flung with the wreckage. A fair-haired knight and his companion go sailing clear. More ropes whip loose, bodies flung, as one figure grabs hold and clings. Up top, the knights heave on the broken line, shouting to hold on. They'll pull them up fast. She stares down terrified while he dangles below, gripping her tight. Lava bursts through underneath. A voice calls everyone safe, but the two still hanging. Another screams to hurry. Swinging on the rope, he hangs over a churning sea of molten rock. A cry goes up for Lady Ignat, and another asks if the Baldur Mountains have erupted. Far below, the lone bridge tower stands over a vast, smoking ruin. Then the ropes fray, strand by strand giving way. Ivy explodes from his bracelet, the wooden blade's vines snatching them from the fall. Cradling Fiona in the green, he asks if she's all right. She breathes a yes, and above, someone frets over them. Lava pours down the Baldur peaks, the snowbound fortress waiting below. On the wall, Sir Ren and Fiona stand alone, one lantern between them. She apologizes. They only turned back for her. None of this is her fault, he says, and she frets the others are cut off. Profile sharp, he figures if the lava follows the terrain, their old road holds. The plan: find a way down the mountain, since waiting here could mean drowning in lava. He points to a path on the map, and she agrees. The nearest route runs through the late Viscount Given's old land, a long descent. He wonders what became of that territory. Left to the crown, she answers. The crown, he muses. Noble infighting? But House Ignat is royalty too, she reasons. Just a precaution, he says. Strange things keep stacking up. That's what nags him. Neither side gains a thing, yet the targets were heirs and royalty. His eye narrows. So who did this? Some force outside the nobility. One cold thought lands on a sword-marked sigil. Maybe Demon King revivalists. No time to hunt them now, he tells the group. Move while the lava-lit nights last. Fiona promises to pack fast, and they push on while they can. Lantern low, she stares down, troubled by something only she feels. Her eyes snap wide. Then he leans in and asks if something's wrong. Flustered, she waves it off. No problem at all. He manages an unsure, all right. Beyond the snow, the whole Baldur range stretches wide. Two figures trudge down the slope, hoods low. By night, they camp under the stars, 2 tents in the snow. From the cliff's edge, they watch a sea of lava churning far below. Come morning, she's alone by the tent, cheeks flushed, eyes far away. Crouched at the fire, he wishes her good morning. She greets her, Mr. Adventurer, back. A cowlick stuck straight up, she apologizes for being the one to oversleep. Deadpan, he notes the bedhead, then holds out a steaming bowl. Only a simple meal, he says, but please eat. And she stammers, it's plenty. Sipping his soup, he decides not to point it out and embarrass her. Across the fire, she eats in shy little spoonfuls. Fiona thanks him warmly. He says he'll go pack first, and tells her to take her time. He ducks out, hauling the gear, while behind him, she lets out a small, confused, Hand to his hair, it clicks. That's why their eyes kept meeting. She had bedhead too. The thought lands and Fiona freezes. She had it too. Hand mirror up, she pats the stray strands down, flushing harder. A faint, sly smile. Crisis handled. Icicles glitter over her, while far below a black pillar of smoke churns into the night. Snow drifts through the pale forest as he lowers his eyes. Quiet. By the fire, she stammers an apology for dozing on watch. No monsters showed, he says, so today she wants to join him. He kept watch alone all last night. Pouring the tea, he plays it cool. Just doing his job, pay him no mind. Many Ignat servants once worked at the imperial castle, she muses, and he hums along. Toss it if it's not to your taste, she says. Even the servants forced bitter smiles. A long, silent sip. Insanely bitter, he thinks, and can't find the words. Then he lowers the cup, smiles, and lies clean through it. Delicious. He doubles down, but she's grinning. She caught the twitch, and asks if he's lying. 2 more days down the mountain, she figures, and he agrees as the pot simmers. Out of nowhere, he tells her she's quite the strong one, and she startles. Even surrounded by flames on that bridge, he never saw a hint of fear in her eyes. She drops her gaze, then softens. The reason is the same thing they spoke of before. Remember how the fortress people had symptoms like a vessel fracture, she asks? A disease where the body holds magic it can't handle, slowly wearing it down. He recalls it. Hand to her chest, she admits with a faint smile that she once carried it too. His eyes go wide. So severe that even magic healers and craftsmen flatly called it impossible. His gaze locks onto the necklace, and it clicks. That's why she wears it. The exorcism necklace suppresses magic power, made by one of the 7 heroes to hide his allies. She's been wearing it to ease the strain on her body, he realizes. A glowing necklace lowered over a girl in bed, a maid holding the frail patient close. Spoon-fed, sunk into a vast bed, she clutched the pendant like a lifeline. Shelves of books she could only read on her good days, and the potions her father prepared. By the window, a chair she couldn't use alone. That was everything she had in the little world she lived in. Now, in the falling snow, the girl from a year ago would call this sight a dream. Then her father and the servants suddenly started acting strangely. Strangely, he asks? They seemed oddly cold, she says, and nobody would meet her eyes. Frail in bed, she'd figured she didn't have long. Only later did she learn they'd slipped her new medicine her father hid, afraid she'd lose hope. The strange mood was them praying it would work, and he ties it to the chief Wolven he killed. Far away, Lycia clasps her hands in silent prayer, a grand manor dark behind her. In another hall, an old retainer stands watch, and a dark-haired lord buries his face. High over the peaks, a vast dragon stirs, horned and scaled against the pale sky. Beneath a chandelier, a black-haired girl lies awake in a lavish bed. And one morning, a hand reaches up toward the light. She sits up and stares at her palm. Strangely, no pain at all. Bare feet touch the floor, then the whole room tips and she goes down. A bump swells across her forehead, the bruise spreading to her cheek. But that was all it cost. Her hand presses flat and her eyes harden. Crawling across the carpet, she figures she looks pathetic. At last, she reaches the window and sinks down in the pouring light. A miracle. For the first time in her life, Fiona weeps tears of pure joy. At their little camp in the snow, Fiona admits nothing really scares her anymore. A flashback. Bedridden, barely able to crawl. Next to that, she says, "This is nothing." Picturing a life after the mountain keeps her going, she smiles. Just walking normally, Len thinks, must have cost her years of brutal work. He promises to get her off the mountain and home safe. She flushes, hands in her lap. It's true, he really is kind. A sharp crack splits the quiet. She jolts upright. "Are you unwell?" he asks. Flustered, she waves it off. She's perfectly fine. She'll sleep first, she says, so he tells her to rest while he watches. Curled by the lantern, she drifts off. Then her eyes snap open in the dark. Something is wrong again. She clutches herself, wondering why now. Cracks spread under her, a hand pressed to her chest. And why so suddenly? Dawn over the frozen peak, the dragon's volcano glowing red. Fiona dozes against the rock. Below, the dark forest waits. Lower down the slope, the snow has thinned to nothing. At the edge, they hit it. A river, churning into a violent whirlpool right across the path. He studies the rapids. No pushing through here either. No way across, he says, and they're stuck shy of the old Givens territory. Spreading her arms, Fiona offers to carve a path. Her hand thrusts out. Light erupts, blasting down at the water. Up rises a jagged causeway of stone, a road hauled out of the river. He gapes at it while she grits her teeth and holds the whole thing up. Then the bridge gives, crumbling apart. He catches her as she staggers and calls out, "Lady Ignat, the path's gone!" She steadies, and they both read it. The lava carries mana. This is no natural disaster. Steam boils up around them, almost like it's hurting them, she says. Doubling back is pointless now. Over a map, only one option remains, a hidden route, and she asks if it gets them down. Without a doubt, he says, but the path crawls with special monsters, so it's dangerous. She doesn't care. Even a sliver of a chance, they take it. Let's go. Trudging ahead, Len muses these mountains shouldn't be this hostile. Even in the game, no disaster ever struck the final exams. Proof the future has changed. There's something he wants to ask. "You helped the sick people back at the fort," he says. "What skill did you use?" She stalls, and a memory surfaces. A blonde man warning him to stop telling people about his skill. "Showing your strengths is showing your weaknesses," the man went on. Unlike Lycia, the famous Saintess of White. Snapping back, Fiona apologizes. Her father ordered her to keep it secret. "It must be hard to talk about," he says gently, and she opens up. Beyond the ice magic, she can interfere with other people's mana. Mana, he echoes. No such power existed in the game. So that's what she used to heal the adventurer's vessel fractures, he realizes? Exactly, she confirms. One catch, she admits, hand to her chest. It never works on herself, so she could never fix her own. She murmurs it's okay, and that she's thankful he told her. He just answers, "Is that so?" The Marquis's daughter, a rare status already, and maybe it ties into this whole mess. If her hunters meant to strike during the final exam all along, then yeah, those flames were aimed at her. Scheming against the Imperial Military Academy takes real wisdom and authority. But say they do take her life, what do they actually gain? One thing won't add up. If no faction profits, then it's purely to throw Leomel into chaos. Should she die here, the Marquis reverts to his game self and turns his fangs on Leomel. Back as the final boss, all of Leomel fell into chaos, and a repeat ends the same. 2 specks descending the snowfield. Whoever wants that has to be the Demon Lord Revival faction. In the game, they used the Demon Lord's leftover power to wake the Red Dragon Asphalt, and that faction had a hand in it. High on a rocky ledge, the pair rests. If killing her were the only goal, they'd have done it already. Plenty of chances. But no, something's off. Maybe sickening the adventurers and the merchants was part of the plan too. Rescue should have come for her long ago by now, so why keep the adventurers penned at the fort? Hand to his mouth, he turns it over. Maybe they only did that because things went wrong. Or maybe. Then Fiona, cup in hand, asks if something's wrong, and he snaps out of it. It's nothing, he says, but staring at the peaks, he realizes the adventurers were baited up here too, exactly like them. He turns to her. There's something he needs to say. Down the snowy slope they trudge, small against the white. Then Fiona doubles over, hand to her chest, breath coming ragged. He rushes back, asking if she's all right. She laughs it off weakly. Guess she's a bit tired. Right then, a voice carries across the snow. "So this is where you were," a pale-haired stranger calls out. "Hey, you two!" She was really worried about them. The pair freeze, wary, trading a silent glance at the newcomer. Cloaked and grinning, she strikes a pose and offers to lead them somewhere safe, and his blood runs cold. Why is she here? Pale hair, a cloak, a smile promising safety. but he coldly tells her to leave Lady Ignat to him, as Fiona stirs, wary. Awake again, the young lady agrees it's exactly as he warned. The beast woman's ears twitch back.
Still smiling, the cloaked stranger holds out a hand. What's wrong? Snow falls between them. Nobody moves. Cold in profile, he asks if he really has to spell it out. She flinches and apologizes. Angry the rescue took so long? A blade flashes, and his hand closes on the hilt. Sword drawn, he lays it out. Impressive, she even rounded up sanctioned merchants. Was the messenger hers too? She meant to kill him and Lady Ignat right here on Baldur, then pin it on the hero faction. Both Clausel and her house get dragged in, the deaths reopening Viscount Given's old scandal. What was she really after? He presses, throwing all of Leomel into chaos. Their eyes lock, the accusation hanging in the cold. For a long moment, she just watches him, saying nothing. Then the grin spreads. He's far smarter than she expected. She knew it. His eye narrows, a gloved hand closing on a hilt. Blade out, she shrugs. Being exposed changes nothing she has to do. He sees it now. She wanted to gauge his fighting, planned it all. Same as the steel-eating gargoyles. Half right, she admits. She'd have shrugged off his death back then. Calmly, he asks why she never struck him from behind mid-fight. Waiting was smarter, she says. It dragged him into all this, and she was curious about his hidden power. Then he presses. Not everything went to plan, did it? True, she concedes, but he spells out the scheme. Her partner would kill Lady Ignat early, while she cornered and finished him on the bridge. But everyone in the fort collapsed, so she came down and rewrote it. That's the tell, he says, which is why she didn't come back alone. She goes silent. A wary glance, then the two square off across the open snowfield. Behind them, a man in a fur-lined cloak stands, great sword planted, laughing that they noticed. Up on the ridge, he calls it pretty much as the kid guessed, seriously sharp. The plan was to kill every examinee at once, he admits, but seeing the young lady, he froze. Hand to her chest, Fiona breathes out a stunned, "Me?" It all makes sense now, the MC thinks, as the swordsman above wonders about her power and means to find out. Then a dark sigil fills the view. Somewhere on their bodies, both wear the Demon King cult's mark. Both the pale-haired woman and the boy go hard-eyed. Reeling, Fiona echoes it. The Demon King cult? She turns to her so-called Mr. Adventurer, starting to ask what those two really are. Glancing back at the enemies, the MC finishes it. They serve the Demon King, just like the man said. The Demon King's gift went berserk because of Lady Ignat, he explains, and the swordsman's eyes narrow. At first, only Kai's mana ran wild, but it spread fast, which is why so many collapsed. Midas only held on, he figures, thanks to the scrap of magic defense on his gear. But two people warping all of Baldur this much? Which means the bridge fire was no accident. The fur-collared knight sighs, frustrated, while the cloaked swordswoman stands ahead in the snow, her back to him. A hassle, he grumbles. They have to take both alive. Then she cuts in. If he knows that, he shouldn't kill them. Kai. Stepping in front, the protagonist tells Fiona to get behind him. Plenty he still wants to ask, he admits, but now there's no choice but to fight. These two came to wipe out everyone who climbed the mountain, just the pair of them. Hemmed in, he stands with one enemy at each side, blades already out. Back to back, the swordswoman and Kai draw, dark power curling up around them. Hands to her chest, Fiona shuts her eyes as dark sigils close in. He glances back, finds her crumpled in the snow, and calls to Lady Ignat. Across the field wait two killers, a greatsword and a pale, cat-eared swordswoman. Crouching beside her, he asks if she's all right. She can barely answer. Trembling, she wonders why it hit now. The vessel fracture. Back again. Black mana sprays the snow. Side by side, the cloaked swordswoman and the fur-collared Kai advance. Asphalt again, the protagonist thinks, as fire boils up the ridge behind them. The greatsword swings. He twists clear in a spray of snow. Grinning through it, Kai says, sorry, he can't afford to go easy. A demon sword snaps into his hand and parries the blade point blank. The traitor lunges, blade flashing. Steel meets steel, sparks raining. The assassin glares. Kai leaps in midair, and he sets his stance. She whips her blade around in a wide arc. Eyes locked, he reads the strike and turns it aside. Then both close in, pinning him in a storm of crossing blades. Steel everywhere, the 2-on-1 grinds on. He calls up the demon sword of shields, and a dome of light blooms. The barrier swallows him and Fiona whole as both attackers hammer it. Kai turns away, muttering what a troublesome power. Sword raised, the assassin charges again. It won't last long. Far below, the snowbound Baldur range sprawls silent and white. Sword drawn over the collapsed Fiona, he plants himself between her and the killers. The strike slams his guard and shatters apart. The assassin gapes, asking how. Then she lifts a glowing web of light,
taunting the so-called hero. Kai answers, and she names the art falling on them, Lightfall. A rain of light needles pours down. He braces his blade through it. Holy sword arts! From Demon King cultists! The contradiction throws him. It shreds magic defense and tears the target, and only a swordmaster can wield it. Down on one knee, sword in the ground to hold him, he's smoking. She's on all fours. She marvels that he keeps throwing the barrier back up, again and again. Both blades close in, and she purrs for him to sleep. They're stronger than he ever guessed. A face goes slack with shock. What in the world is this? Snow howls across the Baldur slope.
Then a whirlwind of debris and snow tears upward, and the assassin's eyes go wide. Caught in the howling gale, Sir Kai braces low and grits it out. The wind rips him off his feet, and she screams his name. A black vortex swallows the slope, flinging him up and out. Cloak whipping, the assassin reels back. Impossible. At its heart stands the protagonist, dark hair lashing, holding the storm together. Shielding the limp Fiona, he weathers it while she shouts for them to wait. The gust hurls the pair clear of both attackers. Down the snowy slope he skids, keeping her tucked safe. Furious and shaken, the assassin demands who controls these flames. A wall of fire rears up, and she chokes out a stunned, "What?" To bend a flame like this, she breathes. Such overwhelming mana. Out of the smoke looms a vast dragon's head. A glowing crest surfaces, and the cat-eared woman stares. It can't be. Cradling the limp girl, he glares back as she watches, rattled. Her face splits into a grin. No wonder. It clicks. The monsters were terrified. The mana spun out of control. Her eyes drop to the unconscious girl. That woman. The dragon rears in the inferno as she names it, the power of legends. Fire and debris blast skyward in a roaring column. The great beast banks over the snow-capped peaks. Then a figure tears across the snowfield as flame surges behind her. A body tumbles through the roaring blast. Are they aiming for her again, he thinks? She hangs limp in his arms. Her exorcism pendant cracks, then bursts apart. The attacker sneers as the hit lands and slams him back. Crouched over her, he hears it too, a voice deep in her mind. Eyes shut, Fiona lies still while he stares. The cracked charm swings. The pendant shatters for good, and it hits him. The exorcism necklace is broken. Cradling her, he watches her eyes flutter open as light begins to rise. Pale light fills the air, the two of them lost in the haze. Holding her steady, he scans the dark, then ash sweeps over them. A swirling shockwave rips them apart, flinging both through the air. Reaching out, she calls weakly for the adventurer as Lycia screams her name, Lady Ignat. A whip of fire lashes down the slope. His shield dome holds the blast, debris scattering as he braces beneath it. Breathing hard, the protagonist demands why the thing is hunting her. Up on the ridge, Fiona pants out that their goal lies beyond, while a small figure bounds off. The jagged peak rises ahead. She kneels. The secret path they came for sits right there. Then she realizes the giant rock that sealed the entrance has crumbled. The icy mountain stands torn open, a dark cave mouth gaping where the blast hit. A long stone staircase climbs into the dark, a lone figure stepping up. Boots settle onto the steps. The path really does lead down here, and flames spill after. In tight profile, hair swept back, Len fixes his stare on the fire-lit passage.